concluded on at the second reading stage are committed to, and this is the point where if there were any amendments that members will be wishing to give to any of the bills or amendments that have been proposed in those bills, then this is the point that those amendments are usually considered. And these bills include the conflict of interest bill. This is a bill that is originating from the National Assembly and co-sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader, Honorable Aaron Cheriot. This is a bill that seeks to provide for the management of conflict of interest in the discharge of official duties. This bill defines situations that amount to conflict of interest and imposes obligations on public officers to avoid situations that would result in conflict of interest. It also prohibits public officers from engaging in activities that would cause conflict between private interests and public interest or official duty. The bill also provides for compliance measures, and it also sets out the steps that a public officer should take in situations where the public officer's private interests conflict or are likely to conflict with public interest and official duty. These steps, just to mention a few, include the recusal, declaration of income, assets, and liabilities by the public officers, and divestiture. If you are just joining us, is that currently is a quorum bell underway. A quorum bell is part of the standing orders or traditions of the House. Once the chair is taken and the prayer is said, but the House lacks the requisite number of members present inside the chambers at the commencement of House business, that is at least 15 members, then that will necessitate a quorum bell for the members to be able to make their way to the chamber for that House to be able to begin its business. Another bill that this afternoon will be considered at the Committee of the Whole is the Tea Amendment Bill, a bill that is originating from the Senate, Bill number 1 of 2023. This is a bill by the Honorable Senator Hilary Sigei. And the object of this bill is to amend certain provisions in the Tea Act 2020 in order to protect the tea growers' proceeds from mismanagement by factories. The bill also aims to incentivize value addition of tea by exempting value-added tea from payment of the tea levy. The bill further seeks to liberalize the tea industry, and this will be done through direct sales to tea overseas. Remember, agriculture plays a vital role in the economy of most county governments, and this is a bill that affects the economic growth of tea producing counties and the country as a whole, and such. This is a bill that concerns the county governments. This is a bill that will also be considered at the Committee of the Whole House stage this afternoon, having concluded a debate at the second reading stage. Amendments to this particular bill will be considered at this point, where the amendments to any bill that has been debated in the House are usually considered. The third bill that the senators will this afternoon be considering at the Committee of the Whole House is the Gambling Control Bill. This is a bill that is originating from the National Assembly, and at the Senate is co-sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader. That is the Embu Senator walking in, Honorable Mundigi. Remember, this is a bill that alerts the members, or maybe within the precincts of Parliament, but yet to make their way to the chambers, to be able to do just that, to enable the House achieve the required number as per the House Standing Order. Remember, it's a house that abides by the rules, and therefore that particular order has to be adhered to. So the House, once it achieves that required number, the Sergeant at Arms and the clerk will allow the Speaker for the House to be called to order for the commencement of the House business. The Gambling Control Bill, Bills number 70 of 2023, a bill originating from the National Assembly that will be considered at the Committee of the Whole House stage this afternoon. It is a bill that seeks to provide for the regulation of betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling, authorization of prize competitions and public lotteries for the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya, for the imposition of tax on betting and other forms of gambling. So these are bills that debate on them were concluded at the second reading stage, and this afternoon, if there were any amendments that had been proposed by the members, then they will be considered at this particular stage. Two bills whose debate already kicked off on the floor of the House, but debate was not concluded, are also scheduled for resumption of its debate. The Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill, a bill originating from the Senate by the Honorable Senator Beatrice Ogola, is one of the bills that this afternoon debate on it will resume. Remember that interruption of that debate was, or rather happened on the Wednesday of 8th of May, the year 2024, in the afternoon sitting.
I'm informed we do have quorum now, so we'll proceed today's business. Clerk, proceed to call the first order, please.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Senator Gloria Nwamatinga, take your seats. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 232-1B, I hereby present a petition that has been submitted through the clerk by Mr. Japheth J. Makoha on behalf of TRIPU, the Impact Community-Based Organization, regarding amendment to Section 32(3) of the County Governments Act. As you're aware, Article 1191 of the Constitution states, and I quote, "Every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including to enact, amend, or repeal any legislation." The salient issues raised in the petition are as follows. 1, that Section 32(3) of the County Governments Act states that the governor may assign the deputy governor any other responsibility or portfolio as a member of the county executive committee. That this provision of the law gives the governors the discretion to assign or not assign deputy governors a portfolio within the county executive. The numerous disagreements have existed between many county governors and the deputies, which can be attributed to this provision in the Act. Thus, some first-time county governors have allegedly expressed fear that assigning the deputies some portfolios may render the governors ineffective and unpopular, especially where the deputies display better performance in governance, leadership, and service delivery. Additionally, some second-time governors who might prefer other candidates over their current deputies to succeed them may prefer not to assign the deputies any portfolio for fear of high performance, hence public popularity. That this situation has resulted in conflict between the offices of the governor and the deputy governor, and that citizens have questioned the usefulness of the office of the deputy governors in situations where governors have not assigned deputy governors a portfolio. The petitioners therefore pray that the Senate amend Section 32(3) of the County Governments Act with a view to making it mandatory for county governors to assign a portfolio for deputy governors. Now, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 238-1, I do direct that the petition be committed to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for consideration. And in terms of Standing Order 238-2, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading this prayer, which is today, to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioners and laid on the table of the Senate. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the Majority Leader, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 14th May 2024. Reports of the Auditor General on financial statements of the following for the year ended 30th June 2023. 1. Nairobi City County Government Revenue Fund. 2. Nairobi City County Government Receiver of Revenue. 3. Gatundu Water and Sanitation Company Limited. 4. Limuru Water and Sewerage Company Limited. 5. Embe Water and Sanitation Company Limited. 6. County Government of West Pokot Revenue Fund. 7. West Pokot County Assembly Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Fund. 8. West Pokot County Car Loan and Mortgage Fund. 9. Kapenguria Water and Sewage Services Company Limited. 10. Lodwar Water and Sanitation Company Limited. I beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights. That report is dropped. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 53-1, the Honorable Senator for Kakamega County, Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Affairs on harassment of tuk-tuk and boda-boda operators by the police in Kakamega town. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the procedures for the arrest, detention, booking, and arraignment of all persons, particularly tuk-tuk and boda-boda operators who have been found to violate the law. 2, state any measures put in place by the State Department for Internal Security and National Administration to safeguard the operators from harassment, including unlawful and undocumented arrests and detention by the police and county marshals, alias county askaris. 3, provide data on all arrests and detentions of the tuk-tuk and boda-boda operators made by police officers and county marshals in Kakamega town from the year 2023 to date, providing reasons for those arrests and detentions. 4, indicate when the county government of Kakamega plans to designate pick-up and drop-off points, as well as parking zones for tuk-tuk and boda-boda operators, as the absence of such zones has exposed them to unwanted and unwarranted harassment. And finally, Mr. Speaker, explain the rationale behind the ban on the operation of tuk-tuk and boda-boda operators past 6 o'clock in the evening, yet that is the considered peak hour. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Senator for Taita Taveta County, Senator Maruma. That statement is dropped. The Senator for Machakos County, Senator Agnes Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for a statement on the safety measures in place on reopening of learners. Mr. Speaker, I arise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Education regarding the safety and hygiene measures in place ahead of reopening of learning institutions after postponement due to the devastating effects of the ongoing heavy rains to various schools across the country. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a report of all schools that were affected by the floods, stating the level and magnitude of destruction and the measures in place to ensure adequate safety of learners ahead of the reopening of schools. 2, report the resources allocated by the government to ensure schools have efficient water supply and requirement standards of sanitation and hygiene. 3, state the number of persons currently hosted in learning institutions as a result of displacement by the floods and other rain-related calamities across the country. And 4, cause a review and improvement of current measures and guidelines to mitigate the effects of floods and learning institutions, including early warning system mechanism in the prevent future interruptions of the learning in schools by floods. Senator Agnes Kavindu, Senator Machakos County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Senator for Embu County, Senator Alexander Mundegi.
Request for statement on the conversion of the Seven Forks hydroelectric dams in Embu County from single-use to multi-use dams. Mr. Speaker, sir, I arise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the conversion of the Seven Forks hydroelectric dams in Embu County from single-use dams in multi-purpose dams. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the rationale for the continued under-exploitation of the full potential of Masinga, Gitaru, Kamburu, Kindaruma, and Kiamberen dams solely designed for the production of electricity, stating why they have not been converted into multi-use dams to provide water for irrigation and household use within Embu County. Outline the necessary policy and structural adjustment required to enable the distribution of water from those dams to area like Kindune use, Kianjiro use, and Kiambere use for owned gravity feed system to irrigate farms in Bere South and Bere North constituencies. 3. State why the State Department for Energy has never considered the impact of conserving hydroelectric dams into multipurpose dams in transforming other sectors of the economy, such as hydro, tourism, horticulture, mirror, cultivation, crops, and fruit farming in addition to electricity generation. And 4. Explain the socio-economic advantage versus the cost of repurposing the 7 Forks hydroelectric dams into multipurpose water reservoirs. Senator Alexander Munyimundigi, Embu County.
Chair Jailak, having explained your absence to the satisfaction of the chair, I vacate my earlier orders and allow you to proceed to table your paper. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I indeed want to appreciate you for understanding the predicament that I was in, leading to your earlier decision. And I want to once again appreciate you. And Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 14th May 2024, being the report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2023. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Before we proceed to the next order, or before maybe allow limited comments on the statements that have been sought, allow me to make the following communication. Senator Funyandarwa, you may do that after the session is done. Now, Honorable Senators, in the Speaker's Gallery, we have 6 students from Kisii University Students Association in Kisii County who are undertaking a one-day education visit in the Senate. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow Senator Gloria under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome to the 6 students representing the association.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the students to the Senate. This is the upper house. I'm very happy to see you here today. And you should know that we are privileged as Kisii County. We have 3 senators in this house. Our head of delegation is Senator Nyonka, who should be coming in shortly. We also have nominated Senator Esther Okenyuri, who is also on her way here. And I want to welcome you. I hope you get to learn what we do to protect devolution and that you may come back again. Asante.
Now, Honorable Senators will allow limited comments on the statements that have been sought, starting with the Honorable Maanzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a comment on the statement of Senator Mudigi, the great senator of Embu. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the...
Just, Honorable Manzo, I will also allow, though we have already committed that petition to the relevant committee, but you may, if there's a senator wanting to make an intervention on that particular petition, yes, you may take that opportunity when I call you out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while supporting Senator Mudiki, I would like to state that, you know, the dams have to be useful to the counties next to them, and also, Mr. Speaker, that the water is also to be useful to the neighborhood. Mr. Speaker, other than generation of electricity, like now that the dams are overflowing, there must be a way of making sure that, Mr. Speaker, that it controls the floods properly, and we really thank God that nothing went extra. Mr. Speaker, on the petition, it is important to note that that petition is on devolution, and devolution is very key. The request may be appropriate, but the framers of our Constitution found it that the Deputy Governor is the principal assistant to the Governor. Mr. Speaker, if you go on to force the Governor to mandatorily give an assignment as a minister to the Deputy Governor, then at times when you are a principal assistant, Mr. Speaker, then you may have also so much work while assisting the Governor, so that having an extra job like be a Minister for Finance, as it happens one time in Machakos, it may also overwork the Deputy Governor. Mr. Speaker, although I agree that relationship has to be regulated further, Mr. Speaker, it's also a very tricky relationship, Mr. Speaker. When a Deputy Governor decides to undermine a Governor, it also becomes very tricky, and there is no regulation as to that. And again also, when a Governor is fully in charge, then we have seen historically when things happen to the Governor, then automatically the Deputy Governor ascends to power. And therefore, while we keenly look at this petition, we need to make sure that, Mr. Speaker, the committee understands why the framers of the Constitution left it the way it is. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to contribute to the statement by Senator Khalwale. Honorable Speaker, border are present throughout Africa, even beyond, Honorable Speaker. And this is a critical transport system helping people in a rural part of this country. And they are facing a lot of challenges, Honorable Speaker. Challenges from the police, challenges from criminals hijacking, abducting border operators. And Honorable Speaker, I think we need to protect this industry. This is an industry which is very, very important for this country. It has created a lot of employment and is going to create more opportunities for employment for our young people. Yes, we need to have basic traffic system implemented or observed by border operators. But you see, even the government has done some very, very important initiatives for the border operators. Motorcycles under 250 cc is zero rated, and this is helping a young man who is operating this border to be saving some money for his future living standard. Honorable Speaker, in support of Senator Khalwale's statement, I would want the government and the police in particular to understand that these people who are operating the borders are our people, are our young boys and girls. They must be given maximum respect and also be taken care of as Kenyans and as our children. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sots.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity just to express my thoughts on the statements by Senator Khalwale and Senator Kavindu. Senator Khalwale's statement on border. I think the problem of harassment of borders is not just confined to Kakamega County, but in all our counties where border receive a lot of harassment from the police, from the passengers, from criminals. And I think this House has an opportunity to help the border sector by ensuring that the borders are protected from all these people, and particularly the police, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have criminals, we have insecurity all over the country, but the police find it easy to target the borders alone. But criminals, the real criminals, are there running after our people and committing crimes. So I think it's important for the committee to really look at the issues before it on this matter and come back with a proper report to this House. On the statement by Senator Kavindu on the reopening of schools following the flood situation. Mr. Speaker, we have seen reports that suggest that a significant number of schools have not reopened because of the challenges around created by the floods. The classrooms were destroyed and the environment is not yet conducive for learning. I think it's important that we are made clear on this matter so that the learning is not discontinued in some schools while other schools are going on with the learning. So I think it's important for the Ministry of Education to really take charge and give Kenyans proper direction on this matter. On the petition, on the matter of Deputy Governor and his role, Mr. Speaker, I think the Constitution is very clear under Article 179 that the executive authority of a county is the governor, deputy governor, and the members of the executive committee. How deputy governors end up being spanner boys, we do not understand how that happens, Mr. Speaker. When the Constitution under Article 179 talks about executive authority is vested in the governor, deputy governor, and the members of the executive committee. Mr. Speaker, I read in today's daily, there is a ruling by one of the courts that governors have no powers to sack or even discipline the members of the county executive committee. I think now we have left everything to courts to interpret. I think it's important for the relevant committee to really look at these issues and advise this House on the way forward. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I think it's very unfair for deputy governors to continue being managed as small people around in counties. Some have been denied facilities like vehicles. Some have been given vehicles with no fuel. Some are even do not have an office. Mr. Speaker, when I become a governor, I will give my deputy governor full responsibility and powers, because the Constitution is very clear under Article 179 of the Constitution. I support.
Senator Kathuri Murungi.
And in first. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to make a brief comment also on the matter of the governors and deputies. The petition issued this floor this afternoon. Honorable Speaker, if you look in there on how even the deputy governor enters office in County Government Act, Article 32, you realize that the deputy governor shall take and subscribe to the oath of affirmation as set out in the schedule to this act before assuming office. What does that tell you, Mr. Speaker? This shows that the deputy governor is actually subject to the oath of office. And once they join the executive and the governor, the first thing that the governors are doing is to make sure that the county, the deputy governor is, Mr. Speaker, left just to the galleries to read the newspapers, not even attending cabinet meetings because he's an executive member. And Mr. Speaker, these deputy governors, because I've interacted with them, I'll be proposing an amendment to this act, Mr. Speaker, to give deputy governors some power so that when working, they can be part of the system, Mr. Speaker. So in the next few days, we have gone to pre-publication, scrutiny, and I'll be advising the Senate on my proposals on the county governors. Mr. Speaker, in some counties, for example, Meru County, the first governor between 2013 to 2017 did not work closely with the governor. But when Governor Kiraitu Murongo became the governor in 2017 to 2022, the deputy governor was his CEC member finance. And they worked so closely for 5 years. They did their best. Even though they lost the elections, I cannot say this because they did not work together. It was other issues, maybe within the community. But that is a classical example of how a governor can trust his deputy, even in the CEC finance. I was surprised that Senator Manzo sent the CEC finance in Makueni was given a lot of work to do by the governor, which I really don't think so, because, Mr. Speaker, deputy governors are as equal to the task as governors. So there is no task which is so difficult to them. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this Senate should come up with concrete proposals that will really ring-fence the office of the governor and the office of the deputy governor moving forward. Mr. Speaker, I was also interested with the statement by Senator Kavindu on the reopening of schools. Honorable Speaker, their schools were opened yesterday, but as the situation is, still students are in devastated classrooms. Some schools are already submerged. Others have no classrooms and desks. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether the government has really come up with the statistics to show which schools are functional and which are not. And really, I want to ask the CS Education and the CS Treasury to come up with a very fast supplementary budget so that these institutions can be supported with finances, the members of National Assembly to rearrange their NGCDF priorities and work on the schools that have issues so that, Mr. Speaker, the schools can learn properly. Also, the county governments, they have an obligation also to rearrange their budgets so that they can come up with supplementary budgets which will be able to do the small bridges which have been swept, the small roads connecting to schools, so that everybody can get involved, Mr. Speaker. It is only that our house has no capacity to allocate resources. If we end that capacity, Honorable Speaker, this afternoon we cannot be doing anything else but to allocate money across all the schools. But maybe in the future, this will be regarded as the most upper house, which will be able to make such decisions with haste, Mr. Speaker. I thank you very much.
Senator Oburu Oginga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to comment on the statement sought by Senator for Embu County, Senator Alexander Mundingi, on the issue of the dams which should be used for multipurpose. Mr. Speaker, sir, the dams the Senator is talking about are the major source of electricity for our country. And Mr. Speaker, these dams were constructed sometimes back in 1968. And since then, there have been very little maintenance of these dams, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they are silting, and these dams are overflowing. They are causing a lot of damages downstream. Mr. Speaker, these dams were designed only to produce electricity, but it is understandable because of the times they were constructed, those times. Mr. Speaker, it is very sad that there are new dams which were constructed much later in the country, like the Sondumiriu Dam, which is still having the same concept as the one of these Seven Forks dams in Embu, Mr. Speaker, single purpose dams which are just producing electricity and not being used for multipurpose for producing drinking water, for water to be used for irrigation, and other purposes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hope that these dams, once they are properly maintained, and the downstream dam, which is planned to be much bigger in the form of, say, the Aswan Dam, Mr. Speaker, will be constructed, and it will also be include multi-purpose use, electricity and irrigation and other purposes, Mr. Speaker. And this is a lesson to the country, Mr. Speaker. Any other dams that we are constructing in the country should now be multi-purpose. They should not just be restricted to electricity. Mr. Speaker, I hope the committee will investigate this and give us a good report in the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to comment on these two statements. But I want to restrict myself to commenting on the statement that has been sought by the Senator for Kakamega, Senator Dr. Boni Halwale, on the arrest, detention, booking, and arraignment of 4 persons, particularly tuk-tuk and border operators. Honorable Speaker, border operators and tuk-tuk operators for a long time have been victimized as people who are engaging in a business that seems to be illicit or illegal, Honorable Speaker. They have been mistreated by law enforcers, either from the national government and the county government. Just a short while ago, Honorable Speaker, when there was a crackdown on the smokers that operate as taxis, Sientas, Pro Boxes that have been operating and plying in short routes, especially in our rural counties, Honorable Speaker. Case on point, the tuk-tuks and Sientas that operate from Orkalau to Giugiu, from Orkalau to Nyahururu, from Orkalau to Kariamu, Honorable Speaker. There were something that the police were hiding behind, that these people do not have licenses, these people do not have insurances, Honorable Speaker. And when we held a meeting between those operators, Honorable Speaker, and the members of the National Transport and Security and Safety Authority, NTSA, Honorable Speaker, it was evident that most of these people are compliant. So, Honorable Speaker, law enforcers must stop hiding and harassing people who are engaging in business. Being a border operator and being a tuk-tuk operator is just a job, just like that of being the Speaker of the Senate, just like that of being the Clerk of the Senate, just like that of being a Senator of this Senate, Honorable Speaker. So I would want to ask that the committee will ensure it digs very deep to ensure that we arrive, and not only customed for Kakamega, and not only for restraining themselves to this Kakamega town, Honorable Speaker, they must ensure, and beyond the National Police Service, Honorable Speaker, they must go to the National Transport and Safety Authority, because that's another notorious group of people that harass our business people who are border operators and tuk-tuk operators. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, I also want to give my comment and opinion on the petition that has been laid to the Committee on Justice that is led by Senator Hilary Sigei. Honorable Speaker, in the architecture of the running of a county government, Honorable Speaker, the executive power lies with the governor. The principal assistant to that governor is the deputy governor. Honorable Speaker, in the Article 34, 4 of the County Governments Act, Honorable Speaker, it gives the governor the prerogative of either assigning his deputy a role in as a member of the County Executive Committee or not, Honorable Speaker. And more often than not, as it has been pointed out in that petition, Honorable Speaker, when you are a first-time governor, you do not want to assign roles to your deputy governor so that your deputy governor does not seem to work very hard or does not seem to overshine you, or does not seem to be more hardworking than yourself, Honorable Speaker. And that way, he is not seen to be a competition to your office, Honorable Speaker. Once upon a time, Honorable Speaker, there was a deputy governor from a county that I know and that I come from, Honorable Speaker, and he used to say, the way this county has been operating, I have been reduced to a person who is equated to a spare wheel of a vehicle. And a spare wheel can never operate when the four wheels are operational, Honorable Speaker. He was saying that I am here waiting for either the governor to die, become bankrupt, or to become mad. So if he will never become bankrupt, Honorable Speaker, I shall be earning a salary for not doing anything, Honorable Speaker. But then we must also be careful so that we do not assign so many roles as it has been pointed by Senator Gitonga, Honorable Speaker, the Senator for Makueni, so many responsibilities to the Deputy Governor that he is not able to be the principal assistant to the Governor, Honorable Speaker. But this matter must be looked into. We cannot relegate Deputy Governors to be flower girls and flower boys, Honorable Speaker. That they don't have anything that they are doing. You cannot be able to tell, I am a senator from Nyandarua, I cannot be able to tell what exactly the Deputy Governor of Nyandarua does or how he earns his salary. Because you must work to earn. If you're not working, why are you earning? We cannot then leave it to the prerogative. Because some of these marriages, Honorable Speaker, and you know, some of these political marriages are for convenience. It is not that I looked at a certain, my deputy governor and thought that he's a person that we can work together. It is for convenience because he comes from the south, I come from the north. So if we combine our votes, we shall win. After winning, we have no formula of how we shall work for our people. So this is a matter that the JLI committee must put their best foot forward. They must think through it, Honorable Speaker, so that we are able to give justice to the deputy governors and so that we can be able to help. You saw when we are dealing with the petition on the removal of the deputy governor for Kisii. You could be able to tell that the governor and the deputy governor are not working, are not singing the same tune, Honorable Speaker. And you know, Honorable Speaker, the way these marriages are formulated, there's no route for divorce. Once you engage in a marriage, 5-year term, if you come back again, you shall have to stay with your deputy governor for another 5 years. So we must ensure that these marriages work. Whether they want or they don't want, we must ensure that these marriages work. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by making a comment on the petition. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution talks about a deputy governor as a principal assistant. And a principal assistant, there is no time the Constitution to me has been ambiguous that there shall be a governor, take it to the other way, there shall be a president, there shall be a speaker, as you are here, and a deputy speaker, Honorable Speaker. It is very clear that there has to be order in management, Honorable Speaker. What creates a problem is that there are people who get into this marriage with an arrangement, illusionary arrangements, where some deputy governors think they are going to share power on a 50-50 basis. Honorable Speaker, that is never in the Constitution. So how you work comes to interpersonal and interpersonal skills, Honorable Speaker. And if a deputy governor wishes to be a governor, there's a time frame of after 5 years, you can then work towards being a governor or a president or a speaker. Honorable Speaker, once in this House, Honorable Speaker, the minority had an issue and the Deputy Speaker of the Senate was on the chair. And I remember very well, and it is on the Hansard, that the Deputy Speaker, who was the Speaker then, said that issue would not be solved until the substantive Speaker was on the floor. So, Honorable Speaker, that shows that there are certain duties that cannot be delegated.
What is the point of order, Senator Fomero?
I have never made such a ruling when I'm presenting this House, Mr. Speaker. Unless if Senator Beatrice can bring an answer and they think that I did that, then Mr. Speaker, it shouldn't be out of order. But also my other point of order was that we know that marriages are made in heaven, Mr. Speaker. And this marriage between governors and the county deputy governors, what happened that marriages are seen to be made in heaven. And I've heard you quote several in the weddings in Omabe, that now weddings are not working for deputies and their governors. Here on earth.
Honorable Speaker, I only emphasize the fact that the Constitution talks about a principal assistant. An assistant comes in when the principal is aside. So, Honorable Speaker, we must as a House also preserve order in management. And Honorable Speaker, I was only saying that the kind of relationship that is between a governor and a deputy, just as they began, because they made choices, and choices have consequences. Honorable Speaker, they must rely on the interpersonal skills. And Honorable Speaker, they must not struggle over power, but look at the services they offer to the people in the county. Honorable Speaker, I also want to comment on the statement by the Kakamega Senator on the harassment of border borders and tuk-tuks in Kakamega town. Honorable Speaker, border borders, by their nature now, and because of the state of unemployment in this country, a number of them are very skilled people. Some of them graduates, a number of them Form 4 leavers, and tuk-tuk as well. So, Honorable Speaker, there is need for some organization of these border borders. The police, by their training, must work with the border borders in such a way that they are able to develop them. Honorable Speaker, our counties have sectors like the cooperative docket. This can be put into use where the border borders can be grouped into associations, they can be trained, they can be registered, they can be empowered so that they are helped at the expense of being harassed, because these are people also fighting for livelihoods. But on the other hand, Honorable Speaker, we must also as a country look at the welfare of our security, of our police officers. Honorable Speaker, if you go to many of the police stations, that is not to say that they should harass the border borders or harass any Kenyan. But the police officers, as a country, we must also invest in their welfare. If you go to police stations, and example is my station in Dewa town, and you see the way in which the police officers are living in deplorable houses, as a country, we must also invest in looking at the welfare of the police officer. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, on the safety and hygiene measures put in place ahead of school reopening by the senior senator, Senator Agnes Mutama. Honorable Speaker, just yesterday I watched on news and saw people in Bomet putting in place on their own a bridge because floods, this bridge had not been completed, and pupils and students have to cross from one village to the other. Honorable Speaker, as a nation, we must look at the safety, not only the safety of students, but the safety of everybody. And that brings me, Honorable Speaker, to also make a comment on the many challenges that are facing our education system and schools in particular. Honorable Speaker, we've seen teachers who are referred to as interns. I'm a teacher myself, but that word from the word go was illegal because a teacher by its nature is already somebody who is trained and has gotten teaching practice, so you cannot be an intern again. Honorable Speaker, the welfare of teachers must also be taken care of, and the Teacher Service Commission must put in place a way of solving the issue of the teachers once and for all. Honorable Speaker, I support these two statements.
Senator Samson Chirenge, Fernandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I want just to, in quick succession, support that deputy governors, Mr. Speaker, be given opportunity or be assigned role. I think devolution has come full circle. We know what works. And Senator Oburu remembers we were being told, let's pass the Constitution to pitishe, alafu turekebishe. That was the mantra when we passed this 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming from the impeachment proceeding against Governor of Siaya, William Odwal, and Governor Robert Monda of Kisii, Mr. Speaker, when you are voting for a governor, you vote for the governor and the deputy governor, even if it is out of marriage of convenience, Mr. Speaker. So whenever you go to the ballot, you vote for the governor and the deputy governor on a joint ticket, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we cannot allow governors to earn salaries and be reading newspapers and drinking chai and mandasi at the expense of the taxpayers, yet they don't have a job description, Mr. Speaker. Why would governors be worried about the ambitions of deputy governors? Any politician who does not have ambition is not a politician, Mr. Speaker. So what I want to say, let us amend the law, let us give designation, because a deputy governor is elected as a governor, because when you vote, you don't only vote for governor, Mr. Speaker. And remember, even in Robert Monda's impeachment and William Odwal, we were touching the same threshold of impeaching a deputy governor just like a governor, Mr. Speaker. So when it comes, governors cannot have their cake and eat it. The same we treat with the threshold that we put, Mr. Speaker, we must ensure we put in place. Mr. Speaker, we have seen even other governors have gone ahead and frustrated their deputy governors. For example, the governor of Siaya, we saw he cannot access his office. He doesn't have a vehicle, he doesn't have fuel, he doesn't have any allocation of resources, Mr. Speaker. Is that how we want to ensure that we put in place, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker,
what is your point of order
on the issue of
Oburu?
Mr. Speaker, sir, Standing Order 105, can he substantiate the fact that the deputy governor does not have a vehicle, does not have a location, does not have fuel, does not, Mr. Speaker, those are very wild allegations which should not be left to go without any substantiation.
Senator Fernande, proceed to substantiate, failure to which you apologize and withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, can I be given up to tomorrow afternoon to provide further substantiation? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of floods and reopening of schools, I'm aware there are a number of schools of around 70 plus that are yet to be open because of security and floods, Mr. Speaker. I heard the President has said 1 billion has been allocated to rehabilitation through CDF. I want to request the Ministry of Education to fast-track the issue of capitation to most of their schools, Mr. Speaker. And even to ask public health sanitation officers to be on high health. Let public health sanitation officers, Mr. Speaker, please visit the schools, Mr. Speaker, because some of these schools, Mr. Speaker, a number of them, Mr. Speaker, some of the toilets, the classroom are not habitable for human beings. So I want to ask the public health sanitation to ensure they check on the issue of floods across the country, Mr. Speaker. I think a very important point, even as we try and reopen schools, let us not reopen schools as a ritual. Let us open schools when it is ready. We have in Baringo a challenge of insecurity, Mr. Speaker. We have most of the schools that they have lost infrastructure. Let capitation be released, Mr. Speaker. And in that, Mr. Speaker, you saw the junior secondary schools in towns were demonstrating in town yesterday because, Mr. Speaker, out of 46, the government has committed in hiring 23,000, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask the JSS interns to be patient. The government insists of the matter. We are going to hire 23,000 in the first batch, Mr. Speaker. I hope what we need to do, and I saw the contempt that the National Assembly was treating our division of revenue to 415 billion, they should be giving more money to hire the entire 46,000 teachers under JSS program, Mr. Speaker. And as a Senate, Mr. Speaker, we shall not be cowed or intimidated by the National Assembly. You cannot throw away the baby plus the bathwater, Mr. Speaker. The fact that there is larceny, plundering, corruption, ineffectiveness, inefficiency, ineptitude in county governments does not justify us, Mr. Speaker, to deny them resources, Mr. Speaker. So on the issue of interns, I request, I'm aware we are supposed to hire 23,000. Let 46,000 be hired, Mr. Speaker. That fourth point, and it is good that a number of members of Energy Committee is on the issue of Kindaruma of being used multipurpose, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are having a lot of water. What is the Water Harvesting Authority doing? I saw in Makweni, all dams, water pans are full. But the Water Harvesting Authority are not telling us about the safety of those dams, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yours truly, I was the chair who investigated the solar dam strategy. In our recommendation, which was adopted by the House, we recommended that the Water Harvesting Authority check out the status and the safety of dams, water pans, and water gullies across the country, Mr. Speaker. If that had been done, there would have been no deaths in Mayomaya, Mr. Speaker. If that has not been done, the dams that in Makwene now you are thinking they are full, they can burst their banks at the moment, Mr. Speaker. So as we discuss this issue, I want to challenge the Kenya Power and Lighting Company and Ministry of Energy. Harvest water, ensure we get enough and sufficient, Mr. Speaker, electricity. So that, in fact, I expect this month, Mr. Speaker, and I know Senator Sifuna will be happy, that the cost of electricity will go down. Because we have had hydro energy that is allowed, that now should allow the cost of electricity to go down, Mr. Speaker. And that is very important, even as we discuss the finance bill going into the future, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the water harvesting, the ensuring that we give the necessary energy and going to, and Mr. Speaker, it is embarrassing in this city. It is raining, there are floods, roads are not passable, but there is no water in the tap. How can you explain? Even I know most Nairobians, Mr. Speaker, don't take shower because it's very cold. But the point I'm making, Mr. Speaker, the use of water should not be on the higher end, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of border, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for this indulgence that you have given to us today to commend success in a succession manner. The issue of border. Mr. Speaker, in where I come from, in Nandi, there is what we call protection fee. There is what we call watching fee. There is what we call stopping fee by traffic police officers, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask our Professor Kithure Kindiki, one of the best performing cabinet secretaries of our times, and I'm happy to be alive that Professor Kithure Kindiki is the Minister of Interior, to crack on the errand police officers who are harassing and imitating borders, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can you protect me from Senator Medhu? I know he might be on somebody's payroll, but he should allow me to make my submission, Mr.
You have
Speaker.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I'm coming home, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and you know I want to remind of the famous song of James Hill. James Hill, he sang the culture, that you have to be honest at all times. It's a reggae song, Mr. Speaker. Sang very, and you know, there's more fire. Mr. Speaker, what I wanted to say in conclusion, in that part, let us, the border should not be harassed. Mr. Speaker, can you believe you are harassed by police? You are harassed by a multi-credit that you have taken along from. You are harassed by your wife, your girlfriend, everybody, Mr. Speaker. How can you survive as a border fellow, Mr. Speaker? Platinum credit is here to harass you. In fact, platinum credit are worse. When you are almost finishing paying for border, they cut your border disappears, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, our border people must be protected. I know sometimes, and I want to ask border people on a lighter note, please, as you take our daughters to school, please don't hide them for 4 days like what happened in Kitengela. We want them to be disciplined, let them do their job so that they are not due to parents. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support it. I thank you.
Now, lastly, Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I will rise in support of Senator for Kakameg's statement on border sector. Speaker, there's no doubt that the border sector in this country has and continues to contribute tremendously to our economic growth. I mean, in the SME ecosystem itself, it has been the one major factor of many SMEs being able to do business easily, and to be able to transport their goods and services across the country. Also, Mr. Speaker, the border industry has created employment for young people and also created employment for those who perhaps had other plans with their careers but have found themselves needing to get creative on ways of income. Now, Mr. Speaker, it's very important, as has been said in the statement, that these border operators are protected, especially because we have also seen a surge in women border operators in the last several years. Them taking up borders, them buying them, operating them, and working, day and night as well in order to better their own lives as women border operators. So it's extremely important that they be protected by our security services. And Mr. Speaker, on the flip side of that, it is a double-edged sword, this matter of the border industry, because they also are being used to conduct criminal activity and being used in very duplicitous ways, unfortunately. So as we continue to, through the Senator's statement, look for protection for border operators, both men and women, we also need to look at how are they also being disciplined at the same time, so that the users of borders can also feel safe when engaging with these operators. Mr. Speaker, it's very important. We also, of course, know that borders conduct these criminal activities specifically around attacking or petty crime for women and young girls in the country, because they're the most vulnerable, as well as people with disabilities. So this needs to take a double-edged sort of approach and for both sides of the coin to be protected, Speaker. I also want to stand in support of the statement by Senator for Machakos County. Mr. Speaker, wash facilities already in this country, in many parts of the country, are substandard. Sometimes it's not even available at all in many of our schools, especially in the rural areas, Speaker. And right now, I've had many reports since the flooding has started and throughout the flooding, and even today, whereby special needs schools and schools with children with disabilities have no wash facilities because of this particular flooding that we've seen in the country. And of course, we have seen as well in special needs schools and kids and learners with disabilities who are in different institutions, learning institutions across the country, also suffer because the floods have taken all of their assistive devices. They have washed away things like laptops and assistive devices like Braille machines, Mr. Speaker, Braille paper. Mr. Speaker, Braille paper costs about 2,000 to 4,000 shillings, while a school book can cost 20 to 50 to 100 shillings. And those have been completely destroyed by the floods. Also, Mr. Speaker, Braillers cost around 200,000 shillings for a child with visual impairment to be able to write in school, when a pen or a pencil costs 5 to 10 shillings. So you see the cost that kids and learners with disabilities are having to pay because of the floods are exponentially higher than non-disabled learning institutions, although all of them, of course, are very important to look into. I would hope that the Senator for Machakos would dig deeper into how the floods have cost the learning institutions that hold or school children with disabilities in the country, because it's a really big effect and no one is talking about them. Mr. Speaker, there's no point of donor companies, partners from across the world. Even right now, there is a conference called the Inclusive Africa Conference that is talking about assistive technologies and devices for PWDs across the country. There's no point of these amazing initiatives and assistive equipment being brought to the country and being donated to our schools, like Thika School for the Blind, like Likoni School for the Blind and others, when in one foul swoop, Mr. Speaker, the flood completely destroys everything. And then schools have to start from scratch, because these are aid assistance that are being given to these schools. There's no sustainability in the country for these devices, for these schools, for these learners. We need more manufacturers to be brought to Kenya so that these equipments can be found easily and also to be found cheaply within the country. So we don't have to rely on the Western world to be bringing them to us and then lose them in a moment through these types of weather patterns that we're seeing. I thank you, Speaker.
Okay. I will allow Senator Abbas, being the chair of the Devolution Committee, mainly to comment on the petition, and then I will allow Senator Sifuna to conclude it from there.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the consideration. Honorable Speaker, I want to talk about the deputy governors. As you're aware, the time people are going for elections, governors don't move alone. And it is constitutional for a governor to have a deputy. Without a deputy, then the governor is not going to be considered for elections. But unfortunately, after taking the office, as I talked to you today, we have 21 cases of different countries that deputy governors have a problem with their governors. And they have reported to our Committee of Devolution. And already we have considered 3. The one in Transia, that they never worked for almost 1.5 years, but now they have worked, now they're back to office. The deputy governor is back to office, and the deputy governor and governor now are working together. We have the case of Meru, which up to now we are not able to finish. There is the deputy governor of Sia that was impeached. And even yesterday, he was writing a letter to my committee complaining that he has not been given any opportunity to go and work, haven't been cleared. So, Honorable Speaker, we found that being the principal deputies to governors, most of the governors, deputy governors actually are working in a very difficult situation. That most of them even don't go to the office. Others have even gone back to study because they cannot work. They are not given official cars. Actually, some of them report to the county secretaries. And the CACs have even more powers than the deputy governor, who is the principal person to the governor. Honorable Speaker, as you're aware, that the deputy governor is elected because the governor is a runner to the governor who is elected. And therefore deserves better positions and better services and better office and better funding. We have a bill now that's coming of what is called the Intergovernmental Relations Bill. And the deputy governors committees came to me yesterday, and we said we'll look into it. They read a memoranda, so at least we can be able to consider the issues in that bill. The bill actually is a government-sponsored. It's been sponsored by the majority leader, though we already consider ourselves, but we haven't handed over to the majority leader. And therefore, I think the process of now putting the grievances and the problems of the deputy governors is already taken care of, will be taken care of in that bill. One other thing about Honorable Speaker is that, we have also a deputy president in this country. The deputy president actually is the principal deputy of the president. And he has own responsibilities. He has been given an executive order by the president. He's already running several functions. He's actually in charge of devolution. He's in charge, he's the chair of the IPAC. I think even the deputy governors should be given responsibility equally, so that at least they can be able to function and work with the governors, and so that they can be able to deliver. With those few information, I wish to support the petition. Thank you.
Senator Safan.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for your indulgence. Mr. Speaker, the statement sought by the Senator for Taita Taveta County, the Honorable Jonas Mwaruma, could not have come at a better time. And I'm really hoping that the Committee on Devolution of this House...
Now, Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
That statement was actually dropped.
Oh, but allow me to say one thing, Honorable Speaker.
So don't comment on it.
Yes, because I caught the tail end of the submissions by my colleague from Nandi on some of the unfortunate pronouncements we had from the National Assembly yesterday regarding the decision by this House to award 415 million shillings to county governments. Honorable Speaker, I think there are things that we as a House have to make very clear. Number one, when we ask for more resources to be devolved to county governments, it's not to take away from the CDF or the National Affirmative Action Fund in the National Assembly. I think what some honorable members in the National Assembly were trying to do is to poison the mind of Kenyans that, in fact, we're going to raise those funds in order to raise the 24 billion extra that this House passed for county governments. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want the National Assembly also to address itself to the question of whether there is corruption, mismanagement, and misuse of resources in the national government. So that when they stand up and castigate county governments and say, oh, all these people travel with their girlfriends, it's not as if officers in the national government do not have girlfriends that they travel with. Mr. Speaker, if we are going to have a conversation, I think that conversation has to be an objective conversation. Mr. Speaker, finally, there has to be also a time that in this country, we demonstrate to each individual county how the money that has been allocated to the national government is spread across the 47 counties. Because there is inordinate focus, Mr. Speaker, on the money that is sent to counties from this particular house, and it represents less than 10% of the budget. Mr. Speaker, every time you ask, why are roads not being built in Nairobi? Mr. Speaker, in Nairobi alone, we have 50 stall road projects. When you ask, you say, oh, but Nairobi received 20 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, an analysis was done of the distribution of resources at the national level from the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and from Kenya. Mr. Speaker, and by illustration, this was an analysis of the constituencies' allocation from Kera and Kura in Kiambu County. And we will not be surprised that the person who was castigating Senate yesterday, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, Mr. Speaker, out of the money that is allocated, 350 million shillings allocated to Kiambu County and Akura, 220 million shillings has somehow found its way to Kikuyu constituency, from where this Member of Parliament comes from. Mr. Speaker, 94% of the money under Kera is utilized in Kikuyu constituency alone, 1.45 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. And if you ask Honorable Ichung'wah to add money to the counties, Nairobi alone, Mr. Speaker, the bill for electricity that is owed to Kenya Power is 1.5 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. So that the money that Ichung'wah receives is enough
Senator
to pay our
Gloria.
electricity bills here.
Senator Gloria, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am aware we are discussing county issues, but Mr. Speaker, we still have to be guided by our standing orders. And they are very clear about discussing any other member of, a member of parliament, either from the Senate, Mr. Speaker, or from here. And imputing improper motive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I understand, Mr. Speaker,
Order,
allow me.
Honorable. Order, Senator
allow me.
Faki, order.
Mr.
Proceed.
Speaker, protect me. I'm just saying, I understand that we are trying to highlight on the issues of devolution, Mr. Speaker. But can the Honorable Senator of Nairobi try and make his point without discussing another member of parliament who is actually not in the house, Mr. Speaker? That is my point of order.
Senator Gloria, which standing order has been violated?
Mr. Speaker, on, I think it's 98, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just allow me, because I know that this is how we are used to sitting me down. There is even content 101, Mr. Speaker, contents of speech. If you go to 101.3, it shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of the senators or other. Now, 4, no senator shall impute improper motive to any other senator or to a member of National Assembly, except upon a specific and substantive motion, of which at least 3 days' notice has to be given, calling in question the conduct of that senator or member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we want to discuss about the honorable member of parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, Mr. Speaker, Sifuna should just bring a substantive motion and we can discuss his budget of his constituency and whether he's using his money or not. Mr. Speaker, Kimani Ichung'wah is not in the house today, so let Sifuna limit his elaborations and discussions to devolution and whatever is. We're leaving out Kimani Ichung'wah from this situation. Thank you.
Order, honorable senators. The Senator for Nairobi, as you make your intervention, kindly adhere to that standing order. Do not impute any improper motive on either your honorable colleague senators or a member of parliament. So kindly proceed as advised.
I am well guided, Honorable Speaker, but I was thinking that colleagues in this House would be more defensive of the decisions of this House because yesterday the entire Senate was being discussed, Honorable Speaker. And in fact, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Senator.
Mr. Speaker, this is an extract of an analysis of the road allocations by those 2 national government entities in Kiambu County as a demonstration.
Senator Gloria.
Mr. Speaker, you must protect me from people who think that by rising on points of order against me, I'm going to make them famous. Because I see them sharing on social media that Sifuna and so are in an exchange. You will have to find your own fame by the quality of debate you bring to this floor. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude. Let me conclude by saying, this,
Proceed
Mr. Speaker,
to conclude.
That the discussion about allocation of resources about the needs of the county governments and the challenges to devolution have to be heard in a sober space and with context, Mr. Speaker, because as I was explaining to you before the point of order, 1.4 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, is the amount of money that we require as Nairobi to pay off all our debts at Kenya Power so that all these members who come to Nairobi from those rural constituencies can continue to enjoy those services that the city provides. So when people come here and castigate decisions of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, and attack devolution on the basis of malpractices here and there, yet those similar malpractices are actually present even in the national government. And I will be hoping, Speaker, as I conclude, that when this House puts together its mediation team, they will send serious senators to the mediation team who will not go there to try and defend Kimani Ichung'wah. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Before I ask the clerk to call the next order, I have this message to pass. Honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the decision of the National Assembly on the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 14 of 2024. The message dated Tuesday, 14th of May 2024, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas on Wednesday, 20th of March 2024, the National Assembly passed the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024, and thereafter referred the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with Article 110(4) of the Constitution. And whereas on Thursday, the 2nd of May 2024, the Senate considered and passed the said bill with amendments and referred it back to the National Assembly for concurrence. Further, whereas on Monday, 13th May of 2024, the National Assembly considered and rejected the Senate amendments to the bill, thereby committing it to a mediation committee in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(2) of the Constitution. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41.1 and 148B of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate and seek the appointment of 9 senators to a mediation committee to consider the bill in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. Honorable senators, consequent to the said decision, the Speaker of the National Assembly appointed the following members of the National Assembly to the Mediation Committee to consider the bill in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution. The Honorable Ndini Nyoro, MP, the Honorable Mary Emai, MP, the Honorable David Ochieng, MP, the Honorable Nyakundi Mokaya, MP, the Honorable Samuel Moroto, MP, the Honorable Samuel Atandi, MP, the Honorable Naisula Lesuda, MP, the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, MP, and the Honorable Ali Wario Guyo, MP. Now, Honorable Senators, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 166(2) of the Senate, and in consultation with the majority and minority leaders, I will, at the appropriate time, appoint senators to the Mediation Committee. I thank you. Next order. Next order, Clerk. You don't comment on messages, Senator for Nyandarua. Okay, honorable senators, I will, with the limited powers given to me under Standing Order 1 of the Senate Standing Orders, I will allow limited comments on that message. 3 from the majority side and 3 from the minority side. Each speaking for 3 minutes. Senator Fonandi.
Mr. Speaker, let me go here so that it is captured. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat. The reason as the majority side we supported an increment of 24 billion to 415 billion is to ensure there is equitable and equality in terms of development across the country. Mr. Speaker, it is a shaming. It is unfortunate that members of National Assembly, without running afoul of Standing Order 101, yesterday misled the country by saying we were removing CDF, Sijui Kera money. How, Mr. Speaker? And I'm wondering how can they mislead the whole country? In fact, as Mr. Speaker asking for 415 billion, Mr. Speaker, is being modest, considering the budget of the country is 4 trillion. Mr. Speaker, in fact, the National Assembly must blame himself because the latest audited account, Mr. Speaker, is them who have taken behind. It will become a hard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask. In fact, I am donating myself for free to be part of mediation so that I can fix them, Mr. Speaker, at the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker. Because as Bob Marley said before he died at 36 years old, Mr. Speaker, in 1981, more fire, Mr. Speaker, he said there is much too honest in terms of running a society, Mr. Speaker. I want to challenge, and I know the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, let us allow counties have for 15 billion. Let us develop our counties, Mr. Speaker. Even if there are corruption, let us fight corruption, but give money to counties for development, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, the nation must know that revenue is divided in Parliament. It is not divided at IBEC. It is not divided in Karen. It is not divided in private residences. And Mr. Speaker, I am very proud of this Senate, and more so the chair of the Finance Committee and the members of the Finance Committee, for standing up for county governments and for reasserting the role of Senate as a house that divides and allocates revenue. Mr. Speaker, when we set up that mediation committee, I hope we will put in men and women senators with spine, because in the 11th Parliament, we had mediation every year. In the 12th Parliament, we had mediation 3 out of 5 years. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang, are you implying that we have senators without spine?
Yes.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of senators with spine. Not all of them. But, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the mediation committee will stand firm for the Senate, and they will not be intimidated by political party and partisan politics. This is about county governments. This is not about Kenya Kwanza. This is not about Azimio. And we hope that the way we stood up when you were coming up with a formula for revenue allocation, that this Senate will stand up to be counted. Where the Council of Governors failed at IBEC, where the National Assembly is failing county governments, that the Senate will be the house that lives up to defend and protect the interests of counties and their governments. And to the members of the National Assembly, when this money goes to counties, really, this money goes to constituencies. What we have seen of CDF, of course, there are some things on the ground we have seen, but we have also seen the cars in the parking lot coming from CDF. Let us be honest. You cannot be pointing fingers at governors and also not looking at what the rot and the problems that we have seen in allocation and distribution of the resources that should go to CDF. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court said that this House must be involved in decisions to do with the NGCDF, with the NGAF. And Mr. Speaker, we look forward to the day that that legislative proposal will be brought before the Senate, because the Senate will do the right thing and make sure that we respect the 2 levels of government in this country, national and county governments. Those are the 2 levels of government in the Constitution. Those other creatures were of the past Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the Senate is going to do the right thing, and the men and women in that mediation committee, please do not do what they did with Linturi. Shame on them. Shame.
Senator Methu.
Honorable Speaker, We watched with great disappointment yesterday, Honorable Speaker, as our colleagues were misleading the nation. And Honorable Speaker, there is something that we would want to demonstrate that was not demonstrated at the National Assembly yesterday. When they proposed that counties get 395 billion, 391 billion, how much had they gotten last year? They had gotten 385 billion, an addition of just 6 billion. What is the growth in the national budget? If the growth in the national budget is over 400 billion, how do you send 6 billion to the counties, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, we cannot purport to keep telling governors, we want you to employ more doctors, we want you to employ more nurses, we want you to employ more ECD teachers, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, we are not sending money is there. Where do we expect these governors to work from, Honorable Speaker? Number two, Honorable Speaker, there has not and there shall never be a competition between devolution and CDF, Honorable Speaker. If anything, the courts have pronounced themselves on the position of CDF, Honorable Speaker. For CDF to be constitutional, it has to come to this House, Honorable Speaker, so that we shall also make our voice known, Honorable Speaker. This argument cannot be one-sided, Honorable Speaker. That honorable members of the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, are the umpires and they are the judges of who is working, who is not working. Where have you gotten approval that what is working is only NGCDF and GAV, Honorable Speaker, and devolution is not working, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, we want medicine in our hospitals, Honorable Speaker. I sit in the Public Accounts Committee, Honorable Speaker. We are saying that we want counties to improve in service delivery, Honorable Speaker. Much of the functions that we are saying should be pushed to the county governments. If we push services to the county government without resources, how are they expected to offer these services, Honorable Speaker? Finally, they say when you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. Now, devolution is being killed because of a malpractice here, another malpractice there, another malpractice there. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senator Kajwang and I sit in a committee called Public Accounts Committee. We have seen governors who have gotten unqualified audit opinions, Honorable Speaker. It is to mean that devolution is working in some counties, Honorable Speaker. If governors are not working, if devolution is not working, it is in your county and you have the ability to elect a governor that is working, Honorable Speaker. We cannot kill devolution because we have a bad governor, we have a rogue governor somewhere, Honorable Speaker. We cannot, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, we had a member of parliament is complaining that a governor is disrupting.
Your time is up, Senator Ledama Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's time for us to reason, and to reason well like a house that unites the whole country. This is a time when I'm pleading to my colleagues from the other side of the aisle. Let us just not make noise today, but actually let it be actionable. This is the only opportunity we have. This is the only opportunity we have.
Order.
You know, I'd rather speak, I'd rather tell you what is on my mind.
Senator Ledama. Order, Senator Fernandi. I don't need your assistance to bring order to this House. Mr. Speaker. Senator Ledama, you started very well. Please, there is no side or there is no honorable senator who has made any noise. Because if you made any noise, I would have thrown them out. Kindly use parliamentary language. You are doing well so far. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the time for reckoning will come. And you know, and I want to be proven wrong on that time. This is the time for us to be able to practice what we preach. Because if we come here and we say our hospitals need medicine, we forget that the Ministry of Health has the largest share of the budget, 131 billion. We are only asking for 15 billion to be sent to 47 counties. I heard yesterday a honorable member of parliament saying that money should not go to counties, should go to CDF. First of all, CDF is illegal. Being illegal, it is imperative for us to remember that our work as legislators is to make laws. So we are making laws, we are dividing money between two levels of government. We have done the calculations, we have institutional, constitutional bodies that advises The Commission of Revenue has given us a figure. Our Committee on Finance has settled on 415 billion. It is only logical that we go by that professional advice. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request my colleagues that because we will select distinguished men and women who we know will fight for devolution to be able to go to that mediation committee, please do not come back here saying that you've been compromised. Do not come back here telling us that, oh, you had to give in. It's a give and take. There's no give and take. Let me tell you the hard realities. This Senate does not have money. Today, joint services, parliamentary joint services, has more money. What is this animal called joint parliamentary services? If the Senate itself does not even have money for the committees, what are we talking about here? Let us be realistic. If we do not fight for the Senate, we will go down in history as a house that failed to defend devolution.
Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, also for this opportunity to give a brief comment on this matter. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the whole country was treated in a lot of theatrics at the National Assembly. It was very shameful to misdirect the country that whatever money that you are requesting for devolution to 415 will come from NGCDF, GAV, the mechanical transfer fund. Mr. Speaker, it was very misleading, especially even from the chairman of the budget committee and the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, you know when we request money for devolution to the counties, all our fathers, our grandmothers, our children, our brothers and sisters are domiciled in the counties. And they need services, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the list that you have just learned from the honorable members of the County Assembly, those are seasoned budget and appropriation committee members, veterans who have been there for the last 3 terms. We went to Parliament the same time with Dr. Makari Muru. When he is in that list, Mr. Speaker, I want you to match me with Dr. Makari Muru this time, so that we can be able to understand what we are talking of devolution. Actually, I'm written to the clerk to include me in that mediation committee this time, because we must make devolution work. We are not here so that we please some governors. If counties are not working, not all of them, if they are an issue with your governor, go and sort your issues with your governor in your county. Some counties are operating smoothly, executing very good services. Mr. Speaker, this time I think we want to be bipartisan on this matter. Let us all work together on the giving more counties money. And 415 is not asking too much. Maybe next year we want to go to 415 billion, Mr. Speaker, so that also services at the counties can be seen learning, and so that we can be able to make sure that devolution works. One thing, Mr. Speaker, that I've realized with His Excellency the President, is the only sitting president who last year, by June 31st, made sure that all monies will down the president.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii pia kuchangia taarifa kuhusiana na kukataliwa na Bunge la Kitaifa kwa marekebisho ya mswada ugavi wa pesa za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa ni sarakasi kubwa katika Bunge la Kitaifa jana, wakati baadhi ya wabunge walikuwa wanakejeli kazi zinazofanywa na serikali za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba pesa zilizoongezwa na serikali kuu kwa kaunti zetu ni shilingi bilioni 6 peke yake. Zimetoka bilioni 385 mpaka bilioni 391. Lakini tukiangalia wabunge wamejiongezea katika CDF milioni 30 kwa kila constituency. Ukifanya hesabu Mheshimiwa ya haraka haraka, unapata kwamba CDF imeongezewa bilioni 8.6. Bilioni 8.6. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kaunti zetu zinazofanya kazi kubwa ziweze kupewa bilioni 6 wakati constituency NGS CDF inapewa bilioni 8.5. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia pia zile baadhi ya gharama ambazo zimeongezeka, tukiangalia huduma za afya, social health insurance, tukiangalia NSSF, tukiangalia housing levy, hizi zote zinaongezeka Mheshimiwa Spika, zinaongeza gharama ya kaunti kwa zaidi ya bilioni 20. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani sisi kama bunge la Senate ambao ndio tunalinda ugatuzi tuweze kuambiwa kwamba kaunti zetu hazifanyi kazi. Kila kaunti Mheshimiwa Spika inafanya kazi. Kama kaunti yako haifanyi kazi, ni wewe na gavana wako. Kama Kiambu haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Wamatangi, gavana wa Matangi. Kama Murang'a haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Kang'ata. Kama Meru haifanyi kazi, ni wao na Kawira. Lakini wasiweze, kwa sababu kama Kisii haifanyi kazi, ni Uroba na Simbarati. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, kila soko Mheshimiwa Spika, katika sokoni Mheshimiwa Spika, ukinunua tomato, kuna nyingine ni mbovu, nyingine ni nzima. Na ndio hivyo hivyo katika ugatuzi, na ndio hivyo hivyo katika CDF. Kuna wananchi ambao wanalia katika CDF yao hawapati huduma zozote, lakini pesa kila mwaka zinakwenda katika CDF hili. Kwa hiyo na wasii wenzangu ambao tutachaguliwa katika...
Senator Alexander Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, ni aibu kubwa sana kwa wajumbe. Bwana Spika,
Order, Senator Mundigi, just hold it. Senator Mazayo, you've just crossed to the aisle. You have crossed. And you're not supposed to come in between the senator who is speaking and the chair. Proceed, Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, ni aibu kubwa sana katika Kenya MP 349 kusema magavana wafanyi kazi. Wakati tunajua hao magavana 47 wako na maseneta wao na wanja sema wafanyi kazi. Tumesikia hata MP wengine wakisema hata MC wakipatiwa pesa ipelekwe kwa CDF. Tukasindwa, kazi yao ni kazi gani? Na wametupatia aibu. Anja ya seneta na gavana ni sisi maseneta tunafaa tujue magavana wafanya kazi ama wafanye kazi. Kwa hivyo naomba wale watu tutachagua wakienda pale kusungumusia ukatusi wa counties na kutetea magavana ambayo wako na shinda ya mambo ya pending bill na wage bill, wao wamejikakamua kabisa wasiweze kuletwa down na hao watu. Kwa sababu ni kitu ya aibu sana kama MP afanye kazi, afai kusema gavana afanye kazi, hiyo ni kitu ya aibu. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono wale watu wataenda kutetea sisi, wewe na usunjaa, lakini watuletee pesa. Kwa sababu tunajua mwaka uliopita tuliyopatia magavana pesa haikutosha na ikafanya mpaka county haijafanya ile kazi ya ukatuzi tunataka. Mambo ya county ni mambo ya hospitali, ni mambo ya maji, ni mambo ya kusaidia watu masinani kona sote. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono wale watu wataenda kutetea sisi, waende kama ni nyumba ya juu na wasiletwe down na wale MP ambaye ni watu wanataka kula pesa. Wamepatiwa pesa kila county, kila MP ako na pesa milioni 150 na pesa ya barabara kila MP milioni 50 na tujui hiyo pesa inafanya kazi gani, kwa sababu kazi yao ni ya kupeana mambo ya shule, hii hatukatai, na hiyo ingine ni ya kujengea NDC manyumba zao. Kwa hivyo ni aibu kubwa sana, ile pesa inaenda kusaidia mwananchi ambaye amelipa ushuru, halafu ndio MP anasema gavana afanyi kazi. Ni kitu ya aibu. Nataka kuambia MP wote, MP hakuna yoyote anafaa kuonesha gavana Kindore angesema ni sisi maseneta tunafaa tufanye hiyo kazi. Asante, naunga mkono Bwana
Senator. Order, honorable senators. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time that the Senate, these honorable senators, and the people of Kenya march on the streets and take these MPs out of Bunge. Because MPs have decided to just be selfish. They are extremely selfish because, think about it, the money we are talking about here, number one, they are misdirecting the country. The money we are talking about in division of revenue is superior to the idea of CDF. And the money we are talking about here, Mr. Speaker, has got nothing to do with CDF. The senators that you are seeing here, the people of the country should know that these senators are not selfish compared to the members of National Assembly, because the senators are fighting for money to go to the people. It's not the money that the senators are going to control. These monies are going directly to counties and to the people. But MPs are seeking to ring-fence money that they're going to control, that they're going to use for their own benefit. And number two, Mr. Speaker, the money that we proposed as Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. Speaker, in reality, it is only 13% of the money that is going to be raised in this country as projected revenue. So it's high time that MPs do understand that the money we are sending to devolution is the only money actually that goes directly to solve the basic needs of our people in the grassroots. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, that I'll be in that committee so that we help the MPs see the sense that the money we are sending to the grassroots is the money that, first of all, looks at agriculture. Number two, it is the money that looks at healthcare. It is the money that also looks at housing. It is the money that pays workers in the counties. And this money is superior and is in no way interfering with the monies for CDF or interfering with the money for CARA or interfering with any other money that MPs are selfishly ring-fencing for themselves. It is high time that we work together as members of parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, to actually make devolution work. MPs should start understanding that this is the only house, the Senate, that can ensure that the issue of basic needs in the grassroots can be able to be supported. Because right now, Mr. Speaker, if you look at it, the money that MPs keep on ring-fencing, those money do not go to the basic need of our people. They don't address the issue of bread and butter. They don't address the issue of...
Senator Nyutu, the very last.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also join my colleagues in condemning the decision by the members of the National Assembly to deny counties the monies that we have requested for. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to remind the members of the National Assembly that their constituencies, which they like talking so much about, exist in counties, Mr. Speaker. And that when this money is sent to counties, it is being sent for appropriation by the same people that they serve in the constituencies, Mr. Speaker. One thing that the members of the National Assembly must remember, Mr. Speaker, is that health is devolved. And they do not deal with health in their NGCDF, Mr. Speaker. They must remember that their parents at home, their brothers, and all those that are related to them, when they get sick, they go to the medical facilities that are under the counties, Mr. Speaker. And lest they forget, let them know that disease, poor health, does not choose whom to get to. At least for the sake of health, Mr. Speaker, the members of the National Assembly must give way, must give in to the request that we have made for monies to counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I think my colleague Eddie has talked about it, we are the only sober house, Mr. Speaker, in this parliament. And why do I say that? It is because the money we are fighting for is not going to come to us
We are here talking about monies that are not going to come to us. And so this is not a selfish argument, Mr. Speaker. We are speaking for Kenyans. The members of the National Assembly must know that this is money going to counties. And Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge my majority leader here.
What
This is a matter that requires...
What
This
is your
a
point of
matter
order? Senator Nyutu. Order, Senator Nyutu. Senator Nyutu, you're totally out of order. When the chair speaks, you shut up. Can you yield? Can you take your seat? Can you give the microphone to the majority leader, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know this is a very emotive issue. And for those of us that have been around this roundabout for a while, we know a few things about how to win and how to lose this battle. Mr. Speaker, did you hear the senator for Muranga, my good friend, Senator Joe Nyotu, have it on record and just pause that, Mr. Speaker, and reflect on the fact that our standing orders provide clearly for relations between both houses of parliament. We may have misgivings about certain members of the National Assembly, but I would wish to draw the attention of the House not to reduce this to be a battle between the National Assembly and the Senate, because certainly it is not. Mr. Speaker, the senator from Muranga has gone on record saying this is the only sober house. That implies that there is a sober and a drunk house. I don't think, Mr. Speaker, that such comments,
Order,
Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think that it is fair of us to castigate an entire house and cast aspersions on them based on the sentiments of one or two people that we may not agree with. Finally, you know, Mr. Speaker, I'd wish to plead with colleagues. I know this is very exciting. I see Senator Sifuna is very happy about this and the rest. You know, Mr. Speaker, this
Majority
is not a...
Leader, you have made your point of order. You did not... you
Why-
are making a speech.
why am I being...
Majority Leader, you've made your point of order. May I just make a... Order, senators, order. Senator Mogeni, order. Now, Senator Nyutu, while you're debating, however emotional you may be, let us use parliamentary language. The House that is called National Assembly is honorable just like the Senate. So when you're referring to the other House, please refer it with some decorum. Now that you've concluded your remarks, we will let the matter, we will order, we'll terminate that debate there, and I will ask the clerk to proceed to call the next order. Before the clerk calls the next order, honorable senators, allow me to invoke Standing Order 45-2 to rearrange the sequence of today's order paper for the convenience of the House. We will move to handle Order 12 and thereafter resume normal flow of business as contained in today's order paper. Clerk, you may proceed to call that order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023.
Outstanding.
Honorable Senators, let's transact business. No time to waste. Senator Medu. Honorable Senators. Senator Medu and the Kamkunji led by the minority leader. Let's dismantle those Kamkunjis. Minority leader. Senator Mazayo. Senator Sigey approves the chair.
Here's the vice chair.
Huh?
Honorable members, let's now be back in order. We are on the Committee of the Whole on the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023. And we will proceed to do the Committee of the Whole. Yes, just call out the clauses.
Clauses 3 to 4.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that clauses 3 and 4 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 3 and 4 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 5.
Under clause 5, I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill, and call the mover, the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Mulgor. Senator Mbugwa, you're doing it on behalf of the chairperson. Proceed to move the amendment.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 5 be amended as per the order paper.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 6.
Clause 6, I propose the question that clause 6 be part of the bill, and put the question that clause 6 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 7.
Clause 7, honorable members, I propose the question that clause 7 be part of the bill, and ask the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Welfare and Social Welfare, to move the proposed amendment.
Mr. Chair, I beg to move that the clause 5 be amended as per the order paper.
Clause 7.
Clause 7.
Correction, clause 7, thank you. And I propose the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 8 to 9.
I propose the question that clauses 8 to 9 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 8 and clause 9 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 10.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that clause 10 be part of the bill, and call upon the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to move the proposed amendment.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 10 be amended as per the order paper.
I now propose the question that clause 10 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 10 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 11 to 20.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clauses 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 21 to 27.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clauses 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 28.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that clause 28 be part of the bill, and I asked the Honorable Senator Samson Cherargei to move the proposed amendment to clause 28.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I propose that clause 28 of the bill be amended A in subclause 2 by deleting paragraphs O, P, and Q, and by deleting on part B by deleting subclause 4.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed, and put the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 29 to 30.
I propose the question that clause 29 and clause 30 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clause 29 and clause 30 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 31.
I propose the question that clause 31 be part of the bill, and call upon Senator Cherargei to move the proposed amendment.
Chairperson, I propose that clause 31 of the bill be amended in subclause 3 by deleting the word 12 appearing immediately after the words a period of and substituting thereof the word 36.
I now propose the question that clause 31 be amended as proposed and put the question that clause 31 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 32 to 40.
I propose the question that clause 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 be part of the bill. And I put the question that clauses 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 41 to 50.
I propose the question that clauses 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and clause 50 be part of the bill. And I put the question that clauses 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 51 to 60.
I propose the question that clauses 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 61 to 63.
I propose the question that clauses 61, 62, and 63 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 61, 62, and 63 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 64.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 64 be part of the bill and ask Senator Cherargei to move the proposed amendment to this particular clause.
Chair, that clause 64 of the bill be amended in subclause 5 by deleting the word 20 shillings appearing at the end of the subclause and substituting therefore the words 1 shilling.
I now propose the question that clause 64 be amended as proposed and put the question that clause 64 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 65.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 65 be part of the bill and put the question that clause 65 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 66.
I propose the question that clause 66 be part of the bill and ask the chairperson standing committee on labor and social welfare to move the proposed amendment to clause 66.
Mr. Chairperson, I beg to move that new clause 67 be,
66.
I beg to move that clause 67 be amended as per the order paper.
Clause 66.
Clause 66.
Correction, clause 66. Honorable members, I now propose the question that clause 66 be amended as proposed and put the question that clause 66 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 67 to 68.
I propose the question that clause 67 and clause 68 be part of the bill and put the question that clause 67 and clause 68 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 69.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 69 be part of the bill and ask the Honorable Senator Edwin Sifuna to move the proposed amendment to clause 69.
Honorable Chair, I move that the bill be amended by deleting clause 69 and substituting therefore the following new clause as appears on the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 69 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 69 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 70.
I propose the question that clause 70 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clause 70 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 71.
Clause 71, I propose the question that clause 71 be part of the bill and ask the Honorable Senator Samson Cherargei, MP, to move the proposed amendment to clause 71.
Mr. Chairperson, I propose that clause 71 of the bill be amended in sub-clause 3 by deleting the words 5 million, appearing immediately after the words not less than, and substituting therefore with the words 50,000.
I now propose the question that clause 71 be amended as proposed, and put the question that clause 71 be amended as proposed. Division at the end. Honorable members, I'm notified that the just moved proposed amendment by Senator Cherargei are not, or rather were not indicated in the order paper, but they have been circulated for purposes of members to interact with them.
Clauses 72 to 80.
I propose the question that clauses 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 be part of the bill. And I put the question that clauses 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 81 to 86.
I propose the question that clause 81, clause 82, clause 83, clause 84, clause 85, and clause 86 be part of the bill. And I put the question that clauses 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 87.
Clause 87, I propose the question that clause 87 be part of the bill, and call upon the mover, the chairperson standing committee on labor and social welfare, to move the proposed amendment to clause 87.
Mr. Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 87 be amended as per the order paper.
I now propose the question that clause 87 be clause 87 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 87 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 88 to 100.
I propose the question that clauses 88 to 100 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 88 to 100 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 101 to 110.
I propose the question that clause 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, and 110 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, and 110 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clauses 118, 111 to 118.
I propose the question that clauses 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, and 118 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, and 118 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 119.
I propose the question that clause 119 be part of the bill, and ask the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to move the proposed amendment to clause 119.
Mr. Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 119 be amended as proposed.
I now propose the question that clause 119 be amended as proposed, and put the question that clause 119 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 120 to 122.
I propose the question that clause 120, 121, and 122 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clauses 120, 121, and 122 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 123.
I propose the question that clause 123 be part of the bill, and ask the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to move the proposed amendment.
Mr. Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 123 be amended as proposed.
I now propose the question that clause 123 be amended as proposed, and I put the question that clause 123 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
New clause 117A.
New clause 117A. I ask the chairperson, Committee on Labor and Social Services, Social Welfare, to now read a second time the proposed amendment to clause 117A.
Mr. Chairperson, I beg to move that the new clause 117A be now read a second time.
I now propose the question that new clause 117A be now read a second time, and I put the question that new clause 117A be now read a second time. Division at the end.
The first and second schedules.
I propose the question that the first and second schedules be part of the bill, and I put the question that the first and second schedules be part of the bill. Division at the end.
The third schedule.
I propose the question that the third schedule be part of the bill, and I call upon Senator Cherargei to move the proposed amendment.
Mr. Speaker, I propose that in the third schedule of the bill be amended paragraph B by deleting the amount 200 million shillings and substituting therefore with amount 20 million Kenya shillings. And B, paragraph C by deleting the amount 200 million shillings and substituting therefore to amount of 20 million shillings. I propose, Chair.
Honorable members, the Honorable Senator Edwin Sifuna had a similar, an amendment to this third schedule, and I want to call upon yourself as well to either adopt the proposed amendment by Senator Cherargei or otherwise.
Yes, Chairman, in fact, I confirm that I would fully adopt the amendment as proposed by Senator Cherargei.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the third schedule be amended as proposed, and I put the question that the third schedule be amended as proposed. Division at the end. With regard, honorable members, to the third schedule, where the Honorable Senator Sifuna has adopted the proposed amendment by Senator Cherargei, the proposed amendments by Senator Sifuna pursuant to adoption of Senator Cherargei's amendment is hereby dropped, and the proposed amendment by Senator Cherargei is adopted. And I now propose the question that the third schedule be amended as proposed, and I put the question that the third schedule be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 2, the title, and clause 1.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that clause 2, the title, and clause 1 be part of the bill, and I put the question that clause 2, the title, and clause 1 be part of the bill. Division at the end. So, Sergeant at Arms, could you please ring the quorum bell, or rather division bell, for 10 minutes, starting now?
Imeniumiza. Well, the chair of the committee of the whole, considering the gambling control bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly, bill number 70 of 2023, that is Honorable Hilary Sigei has directed that the division bell be rung for 10 minutes. This consideration of the bill at the committee of the whole house has come to an end. And I would like us to take a look at the procedure in a committee of the whole on a bill. And this is as provided for in the Standing Order 152. Standing Order 152.1 indicates that the clerk shall call severally each part of the bill in the sequence specified in Standing Order 151. The sequence will start with the clauses as printed, excluding the clause provided for the citation of the bill, the commencement, if any, and the interpretation, the new clauses in the bill, as we have heard, the schedules, the new schedules, interpretation, preamble, if any, title, and finally the clause provided for or providing for the citation of the bill. That is what we have seen throughout the process of the committee of the whole in considering the gambling control bill. And what is happening currently is that it's a division bill underway. The members will be coming back for voting on the bill at the final stage of the committee of the whole. There are amendments that have been moved and have been considered to be part of that particular bill. Once that bill is done, the doors will be closed and the bars will be drawn, and the members will be voting on this bill with the amendments that have been discussed during that whole process when the members were considering this bill at the committee of the whole. This bill seeks to provide for the regulation of betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling, authorization of prize competitions, and public lotteries, for the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya, for the imposition of tax on betting and other forms of gambling. That bill is also to notify members that the division stage for that particular bill that has been concluded on at the committee of the whole is about to take place, and that members who may have walked out of the chamber or are not inside the chamber to be able to make their way to the chamber to allow the House also achieve the required number for the division to continue on that bill. A number of amendments have been proposed, or rather a number of amendments have been considered on the clauses that the members had moved with regards to that bill. Some of the clauses include clause number 66, clause number 87, clause number 66 indicated that the bill be amended by deleting the words shall ensure that it's appearing immediately after the word authority and substituting the words county governments shall ensure that there. These are amendments that are with regards to clauses inside that particular bill. Clause 87 also was part of the amendments with regard to this particular process. Clause 119, clause 123. And once that division bell is done, when the quorum is achieved for the division to continue, then these amendments in the clauses that have been a part of the bill or amended to be part of the bill, they will be considered, and at the end of it, the bill will be committed for third reading after it has gone through all the stages in the committee of the whole. Those are members walking in, as I've told you, that this is the division bell for the consideration or for the conclusion of the last bit of the committee of the whole to vote on the amendments that have been brought forth or have been considered in this bill, and at the last point to move the bill to the next stage, that is the third reading. Standing Order 152, that is the procedure in committee of the whole on a bill, indicates that the clerk shall call severally each part of the bill in the sequence specified in Standing Order 151. And if no amendment is proposed, or when all proposed amendments have been disposed of, that is what we have seen, that the amendments that have been made to this bill, the chairperson shall propose the question that, as amended, stand part of the bill, the amendments that we have seen being read out by the movers. The chairperson shall put that question to the committee of the whole for decision. 152 to indicate that no amendment shall be moved to any part of a bill by any senator other than the senator in charge of the bill, unless written notification of the amendment shall have been given to the clerk at least 24 hours before the commencement of the sitting at which the part of the bill is considered in committee of the whole. 152 to indicate that despite paragraph 2, where an amendment has been moved to any part of a bill, in accordance with this paragraph, any senator may move an amendment to that amendment on delivering to the chairperson the terms of his or her amendment in writing. Part 4 indicates that a senator moving an amendment or a further amendment to any part of the bill under paragraphs 2 and 3 shall explain the meaning, purpose, and effect of the proposed amendment or further amendment. Part 5 indicates that the amendment shall be permitted to be moved to a bill if the amendment deals with a different subject or topic or unreasonably unduly expands the subject of the bill, or is not appropriate or is not in logical sequence to the subject matter of the bill. Well, senators have walked into the chambers. The bell is off. We will just want to understand whether, okay, the bell is still on, meaning that that quorum has not yet been achieved. This is the division bell. The senators have just concluded the consideration of the gambling control bill at the committee of the whole. And the division is for the members to be able to finalize on the process of the bill at the end of it, on voting on the amendments that have been proposed, or the amendments that have been considered during the committee of the whole and have been amended to be part or to stand as part of the bill, and then give way for the bill or pave way for the bill to proceed to the next stage, that is the third reading stage. But this is a bill that seeks to provide for the regulation of betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling, authorization of prize competitions and public lotteries, for the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya, for the imposition of tax on betting and other forms of gambling. That is the purpose that this bill seeks to achieve. And it is a bill whose debate was already concluded at the second reading stage. Amendments that were brought forth at that point have been considered at the Committee of the Whole House. And now the process of considering those amendments has been disposed of with, but the voting is what is now set to happen on the amendments that have been discussed there and are set to be put as part of the bill. So allow me to...
Senator Halwale, let's resume our seats for purposes of reporting. Honorable members, we need to report on the progress. I want to call upon the mover, the majority leader.
The mic, please.
Proceeds to report from the dispatch desk.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members,
Sorry, take that again, Mr. Speaker. Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order number 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report on its consideration of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
honorable members, I now put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report on its consideration of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable Senators, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator. Chairperson, we are now on this, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of 2023. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow.
A mover.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. I request the Senator for West Pokot to second.
Senator Mulugo Julius. Thank you, Honorable Senators. I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the Senate report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the Senate report. As many as of similar opinion say aye. Aye. As those of contrary opinion say nay. There is it. There is of it. Okay, Senators, we are going back to using standing order 45-2. We go back to order number 8. And then 9 in that order.
Order number 8, the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2023, second reading, resumption of debate.
Senator Kalora, you seem to have spoken on this bill. Sorry? Okay, proceed and make your brief comments. Either you or Senator Chalgay, are you ready also? Okay. So are you quizzing on by camera or the other one, under number 8, newborn child? As an expert in that field, proceed and make your comments.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the Maternal, Newborn and Child Healthcare Bill of 2023. Mr. Speaker, as I congratulate the mover of the bill, the distinguished Senator Beatrice Ogola, I am pleased to inform her that you have serious bragging rights. For all these years, the farthest we have gone, in fact, shame on us, who are not only doctors, but we have also been in this house for many years. The farthest we have gone, Senator Beatrice, is to talk about free maternal child health care and funding. This, Mr. Speaker, was merely a scratch on the surface of the real needs of this category of Kenyans. I therefore want to congratulate you, and having gone through the bill, I realize how deeply you have reflected on it, and I support. Mr. Speaker, this matter is so serious, especially when you weigh in the statistics. For every 100,000 women who deliver, a whopping 530 actually die during childbirth. This is the national average. And it is not acceptable that the counties from the so-called, the former Northern Frontier districts, namely Mandera, Wajir, and Turkana, are leading in this category. That a young girl can stay for 9 months looking forward to getting a beautiful baby. She not only loses the baby, but also loses her own life. In Mandera, it is as scaring as 3,800 women die at childbirth out of every 100,000 deliverers. In Wajir, 1,683, and in Turkana, 1,594. This bill seeks to speak to this so as to right it. What's more, when those women die, they do not die alone, Mr. Speaker. Some of them die with the children. And because of the challenges facing this particular age group, you find that for every 100,000 children born in Kenya, 500 of them die. Mr. Speaker, Garissa leads with 641, and Nyeri performs best. In Nyeri, only 67 children die. So we have work to do, and this is the work as a House of Legislation we are discharging. Mr. Speaker, going through this bill, my attention was captured by Clause 6. In Clause 6, this is a list of the services for a non-pregnant woman. The mover has included from A, family planning services, preconception care services, and so on, up to, Madam Speaker, up to E. But allow me, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sir, to speak to the point of family planning as a service. You'll remember when I look at your gray, beautiful goatee, you'll remember you and I when we were growing. The excessive emphasis there was on family planning. This has to be thought out now because the excessive emphasis has now visited a lot of pain many countries in Europe and America, to the extent that today populations are now at risk. This application of family planning, Mr. Speaker, is not without its negative impact in this country. I have gone to a constituency in Central Province, Mr. Speaker, namely Kidunguri, and I saw the dwindling number of children in early childhood development centers.
Honourable members, I'm trying to follow up what the member is saying, but there is some interruption from my right-hand side.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I would like to appeal to young Karen to know that in Parliament, no two senators can be on their feet at the same time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Senator Cullen and
So,
Mr.
Speaker, the fact that we are starting to see it here at home, if we don't manage it well, we might find ourselves where China is today, where Sweden is, where Finland is, where they are paying parents to get pregnant and bring up children. When I see His Excellency the President trying to encourage young people to look for jobs beyond our borders, some people try to undo that innovative move by referring to what President Kibaki said. Kibaki was encouraging our professionals to remain here. But 20 years later, where Kibaki was is not where the world is. So we are now the ones who have the capacity to bring forth children who can not only work for us, but also work for the community of nations. Mr. Speaker, I'm also impressed by Clause 7.
Sorry, Senator Boni. Did you just close through my Senator Chalagay? Yes. I did not see you on board that time because you are very visible. So I did not see you walk to the higher.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in Clause 7, the bill seeks to offer services for pregnant women, and amongst them, there is early detection of pregnancy, free prenatal care, and so on. I would like to encourage the mover to allow for a deliberate provision in our law for cash transfer. Cash transfer to pregnant women. I remember 20 years ago when I came into Parliament, I moved a motion to ensure that pregnant women receive cash transfer. It was defeated at that time. But today, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we are transferring cash to people who are 70 years and above, then this is the time for us also to address the other end. We are transferring cash to the geriatrics. Let us now transfer cash to the pediatrics. We should not just care about old people and forget about the women who give birth to the children who will eventually become old people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in clause 9, the bill seeks to provide services for women with special needs. This is very important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a list from A to F trying to specify who are these women who deserve special needs. The bill is very clear, but I want to draw the attention of the mover that you have left out something small. When I was practicing medicine at Kenyatta National Hospital and at Pumwani Hospital, Mr. Speaker, young mothers would come to labor ward. And once she pushes the child shoots the first cry, you hear the cry of the child, and you hear the scream of the mother. And what is the mother saying? Quote, "Stuck him toto. Daktari, stuck him toto," unquote. So the child is there. The mother, my midwives would quickly respond by lifting the child and showing the child so the mother can bond with that child she's refusing. And the girl turns the head and closes the eyes and says, "I don't want to see, stuck him toto." So we need, in this bill, to provide, especially for adolescents who do not want to keep the children after birth. Because once we recognize it into law, we will know what to do with it. Why it is important, it is because out there, outside the maternity, because the nurses are under a lot of pressure. Like in Bumwani at one time, you can have 40 to 50 women popping up children in 1 minute. So the nurse is overwhelmed. Now, human traffickers now take advantage. They then traffic these children, and these children are denied an opportunity to go into the hands of a loving somebody. They end up in the hands of a trafficker whose interest is just to make money. I thought you should add that. Mr. Speaker, clause 4 speaks to courteous treatment. For purposes of this act, a woman with special needs includes a woman with disability, a woman with mental illness, and a woman from a marginalized area. I agree with you fully, but I propose that you add, number 5, the issue of infertility. Infertility is a special need because, Mr. Speaker, whereas in this bill we are imagining that everybody has an opportunity to get pregnant or be made pregnant, we have others who have challenges of conception. These are the people who require to be given support by medical specialists so that they can get babies. Colleagues, you have heard of in vitro fertilization, and you have heard of surrogate mothers who would want the fertilized ovum to be implanted in their uterus. Then they carry the baby for the woman who was having problems with fertility to hand over the baby later. We need to put this in law so that since in vitro fertilization is very expensive, we see how we can support ordinary Kenyan women who have the same challenges of infertility but cannot afford the cost of in vitro fertilization. Secondly, we need to tighten the law because if it is not there, a woman who was carrying a fertilized ovum in her womb also becomes attached to that baby. After carrying for 9 months, when she delivers, if there's no law, she will refuse to release that child to the woman whose husband donated the sperms that fertilized the ova that the doctors withdrew from her ovary and then implanted in the surrogate mother. So we need this in law. And Mr. Speaker, we have a further challenge, which I would like to draw the attention of the mover. You know, not all people who get pregnant want to see the pregnancy up to the end of 9 months. Then also, some of the people who want to see the pregnancy up to the end of 9 months fail to reach there because of something called abortion. Abortion is not well addressed in the laws of this country, and therefore in this very innovative bill, I urge that we put a provision in clause 11 whereby we find a place for abortion in 2 ways. One, a woman who gets a spontaneous abortion, when they land at Kenyatta National Hospital in the emergency room, they are treated like a woman who has aborted because she was seeking an illegal abortion. So the treatment is traumatizing. It is traumatizing. A woman who was 3 months pregnant and has been waiting for this baby, she arrives in with other women who have procured a backstreet abortion, something we call incomplete abortion. And they're treated very inhumanly because the assumption is that all these women might have sought backstreet abortions. So we need the law to be clear so that care is given to these women. And more importantly, because the mover has remembered the mental health of the pregnant women, please, we need to have counseling services at the abortion end of the law to provide for mental care for women whose children die during abortion, and also women who themselves actually die when procuring an abortion. Mr. Speaker, clause 12 speaks to the role of the cabinet secretary. And the mover of the motion has clearly given those roles, and I want to laud you. Given the experience we had in the fertilizer, it looks like we should continue going your route, so that every law should be telling a minister their role. So when a minister of health has failed to observe what you have stipulated in clause 12, if a motion of impeachment is brought against that minister, they don't start shifting blame. Because the death of a mother, the death of a baby, it's extremely traumatizing, and if there was something that a cabinet secretary was supposed to do to prevent it, and they don't, then let us be where Finland is, where Sweden is, where the US is. That is, then the cabinet secretary takes political responsibility. I laud you for this. Now, Mr. Speaker, in clause 13, the bill seeks to ensure that reports are taken to Parliament. And the mover says that a report under this section shall include a description of the activities and interventions undertaken by the ministry in respect of maternal, newborn, and child health services, and B and C. I would like the mover to also consider amending the bill by introducing 13(2)D, where D, I propose that the report to be brought to Parliament should include a record per county of the maternal deaths, and a record per county of the neonatal deaths. Why this is important is that we are now in the era of devolution. So, because to me, the new constitution, devolution was about serving people. And this is a bill seeking life, and the women giving people an opportunity to start life, get the best services. If we get this per county, introduced in the formula for sharing revenue, the factor of maternal deaths and neonatal deaths, so that the counties that have got the highest number of maternal deaths, like Mandera, Madam Speaker, like Wajir, like Turkana, can actually have it factored in so that they get a higher allocation to be able to meet that particular challenge. Let me pause for a second, because I see Senator Kavindu is here.
Senator Boni, your time is up. Maybe you can conclude. Proceed and conclude.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I still had a few points, but I'll pass them over to the mover in writing. I wanted them addressed, and I thank you and I support you. I'm so proud of your industry this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The other two senators, I don't know whether they are queuing on this newborn, Senator Karen and Senator Okoiti Andrew. If not, I will call the mover to reply then. You are queuing on the newborn? Okay, proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the bill, the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill 2023. First of all, I congratulate and thank the mover for this well thought out bill, which is long overdue. Pregnancy is not a disease, but this country has made pregnancy to be a disease. That's why women are dying of pregnancy. Pregnancy is a primary healthcare issue that is very well located within the counties. And if anything, if there's any component of healthcare that counties are supposed to address, for me, it is maternal health. The child, maternal health, and all the things that are associated with it, to ensure that women don't die, children don't die, women don't fall sick, and women have the care they require to bring in new members of the future of this country into life. For without mothers, we have no society. But I've seen healthcare facilities across this country, and especially in Busia County, are terrible. There's one hospital that has been declared virtually by residents to be a death trap. It's Kocholia Hospital in Busia. The rate at which women die in that hospital is unacceptable. Not that any death is acceptable, but this one is alarmingly unacceptable. And so I pray that this bill should get the support it requires. And I want to associate myself with the sentiments of the Honorable Senator Khalwale as regards the various amendments he has proposed. I would only want Senator Khalwale to distinguish between a miscarriage and an abortion. We cannot afford to be not clear on that particular subject which has got both moral and health connotations. An abortion is an intentional act. A miscarriage is not. There's nothing like a natural abortion. You can have a miscarriage, a pregnancy can be terminated prematurely by natural causes. That's not an abortion. An abortion is a deliberate decision to terminate life, which in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, I think it's Article 26, life is recognized as beginning from conception. So if life begins at conception, then you cannot have extrajudicial termination of that life. It cannot be terminated by doctors. It can only be terminated through a judicial process. Secondly, this House has no capacity to debate the question of abortion in the Republic of Kenya. The question of abortion was put to the people of Kenya when the Constitution was being reviewed, and it was rejected. Therefore, if this House would like to discuss abortion, it may not do it by an ordinary bill like this one. It must move it by a special bill under Articles 255 and 256, or through a popular initiative under Article 257. And because it concerns the right to life, which is in the Bill of Rights, then it's entrenched, is an entrenched provision that will require a referendum. So whereas I support Senator Khalwale's sentiments on miscarriage, the question of abortion, that being the intentional termination of the life that begins at conception, is beyond the ambit or the reach of this bill. And I would request that the mover distinguishes between an abortion and a miscarriage, which would need to be addressed. Secondly, I support the issue about assisting women who are unable to get pregnant to be able to do so. Because, as you know, the failure to beget children, especially in our society, is a very, very heavy burden. A burden that sometimes destroys people. And maybe that particular service, where it is certified that somebody needs medical intervention to conceive, should be carried by the state. Because the ultimate beneficiary is the state. It's the one which benefits from the citizens who come into this world. I would also add the move of this bill to consider matters of nutrition. Of the newborn babies, because basically we need to create an environment where it is possible to transmit life effortlessly. And it would be upon the state for me to provide for a newborn baby with the basic necessities for the baby to learn to lead a healthy life. Beyond immunization and various vaccinations, to be given basic nutritional requirements for the development of that baby into a functional human being with all capacities going. Another question, and so before I go there, and therefore, that would require for some support towards those households that do not have enough to provide for that child through some rations or something. The other issue is the loss of life, not as a result of the mother not being able to deliver or that, but as a result of either the nurses or the midwives being overworked or being negligent. There have been very many cases of the loss of both mother and baby due to the negligence of nurses for whatever reason and midwives. So there would be need to also secure that space and make sure that there's a mechanism of monitoring and ensuring that live births are not lost, and mothers who have succeeded in giving birth are not lost. We have the question of children being born, and because of lack of attention, being unable to develop, I don't know the medical word for it, but you have children who become autistic, who suffer cerebral palsy as a result of the mismanagement at delivery. Those cases need to be documented, and any time we have a child with cerebral palsy, there should be a follow-up to establish what happened at delivery. Was it as a result of negligence, or was it an act of God? Because these cases are becoming just too many and maybe need to be addressed through some form of legislation or regulation. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I support this bill, I would also call upon the medical fraternity to tell us why the standard form of delivery has become cesarean section today. Why don't we have as many natural births as there used to be? Some of us, like me, I'm told I was just born at home. They are not benefit from my hospital. Now, why is it that today women are being opened up left, right, and center? Every birth you hear is cesarean section, cesarean section. Maybe the move of this bill should give us a procedure of when a woman should be sent to cesarean section. It must not be the first line of delivery. It has become too common. We know there is money in it, but money should not be the motivation of some of these things. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a very, very important motion. That needs to be given all the support we can. As for county governments, they've got this huge burden, but as we know, in fact, even before devolution came, pregnancies and matters of maternity, unless a complication arose, was not a matter of clinical medicine. Therefore, it was remanded to the local authorities. It was handled by the county councils and local authorities. Even Pumwani Hospital, big as it is, did not belong to the national government. It belonged to the county council of Nairobi, or was it Nairobi County Council? I don't know what the correct name was. And so now that these functions have properly been devolved, I would like to see the money that's supposed to run healthcare leaving Nairobi and going to the counties. We cannot be in a situation whereby the services are delivered by county governments, but the money remains in the Ministry of Health to do whatever we don't know. We don't see any functions by the Ministry of Health that could justify the retaining of huge sums of money. Some put it at about 80% of the budget for health, remaining with the Ministry of Health. We would like to see these funds devolved so that this bill can become a reality. Otherwise, without money, this bill cannot become a reality. And from where some of us come, in terms of school of thought, a government has only one policy document. Everything else is poetry. And that policy document is called the budget. If it is not in the budget, it's nowhere in the policies of a government. It's all poetry for entertainment. So we would pray that we see the policy of the national government reflect the concerns of the people of Kenya by releasing the health function, all the resources in the health function, because it's devolved, down to the counties, and allowing the national government to play a very, very minimal role in terms of policy. But implementation money should go to the ground. Otherwise, we labor in vain as we pass this bill. But this should not be a labor in vain. This should be a labor for the purpose of securing the future of this country. And I will urge the national government to look itself in the face and realize that the health function is with the county governments, and money should be released to go to the county governments where it is required to provide health services, including maternal health. And we talk of the health of a child. The health of a child is critical because we are talking of the maternal, newborn, and child health. When you look at child health, it's extremely critical that children are nurtured with enough food and resources so that their brains can develop. And since a child covers even a person that is in primary school, this would also require to see that we ensure that children are well fed, at least during the primary school phase, at least one meal during school time, to ensure that the children have a proper health, because the basic ingredient of good health is good food. And we realize that in many cases, many societies, many communities and many households have a challenge providing adequate food to their children, and so you get children malnourished. And when children are malnourished, then their health is not something to talk about. So this side of child health, I would ask the mover to consider the nutritional side quite a bit, so that nutrition becomes a foundational ingredient of this bill. Nutrition of newborns, nutrition of children, and the nutrition of pregnant mothers. Because if the mother does not have proper nutrition, then that pregnancy cannot result in a bouncing baby. The baby will be stressed from the beginning due to the denial of necessary nutrients. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I move to thank the mover of the bill. And on top of that, I also want to thank, in very colorful words, Senator Boni Khalwale for the very, very informed contribution he has made to this bill, except for his failure to distinguish between an abortion and a miscarriage. And I hope you'll understand that a miscarriage is not an abortion, and an abortion is not a miscarriage, because one is intentional, the other one is an act of God. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the bill.
Thank you, Senator Mtata. Senator Manzo Daniel, what is your intention on this screen?
I had not yet contributed to this particular bill, sir. Mr. Speaker.
Okay,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank...
you also have the interest? I thought you dropped yours to the next bill. Sorry? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I really want to thank the mover for coming up with this bill. Mr. Speaker, this bill is very, very important, dealing with maternal, meaning the mother, then newborn, meaning a child who has successfully been born, and the child health bill, growing of a child. And Mr. Speaker, bearing in mind that a child is up to 18 years of age. Mr. Speaker, Makueni County pioneered in this, although it was not in any written law. Professor Kivutha Kibwana, together with his cabinet, came up with a maternal, mother-child hospital, which was done very reasonably, very clean, and not far from the level 5 hospital in Makueni headquarter, Wote. Mr. Speaker, this particular hospital was opened up by the then First Lady, Mrs. Uhuru Kenyatta. She came all the way personally to Wote, and she was very particular about newborn children. And I was invited as a local member of parliament. And Mr. Speaker, in my speech in that opening ceremony, I say that water was very important, Mr. Speaker. The supply of water to every home, the supply of water to the hospitals. Mr. Speaker, the supply of clean water makes half, it does away with half of possible diseases. And if you had clean water everywhere in the country and in every home, every school, every hospital, then you will have very few people going to an hospital. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, during Corona, when we were doing sanitization and washing our hands, other than a few Corona patients, there were hardly any patients in an hospital, Mr. Speaker, showing that cleanliness really goes a long way to fight diseases. And one of the biggest afflictions of a newborn baby is disease, and especially if there are outbreaks, disease outbreaks, they will affect children in a worse scenario. And that's why as Honorable Mutata has contributed, the best policy for any government is the budget. And if you have sufficient budget to make sure that we have enough water, just like the way we had a lot of rains, if we stored enough water, which is clean, then we will really be sorting out the health situation. And the worst case scenario is when a newborn a newborn baby is born, or a child is growing up, that there are no health conditions that affects the child very adversely. And then, so therefore, provision of clean water and a clean environment is very key for the growth of children and for the success of children, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for there to be a healthy child, they have to be born by a healthy mother. So the medical condition or the health status of a mother is very important, be it stress, be it disease, or any other disturbance to when a mother is expecting or plans to expect, goes a long way into how the child is going to be. And even when a mother is expecting, there has to be enough information and enough knowledge on how best to take care of their unborn baby, such that children are affected by abuse of drugs before they are born, by presence of disease, by stress of the mother. And then come to delivery time, as Honorable Omutata again has said, he was born at home. I too was born at home, deep in Makueni, At a time, even road services were very difficult to find. And the nearest hospital was 200 kilometers away, which is Machakos town. And there were traditional methods and experts who knew how best to deliver a baby. And my grandmother, thank God, was such an expert. And therefore, I was safely born. If something was to go wrong, it would have taken those days, 2 days, to get to Machakos District Hospital. And there was only one bus, which will only appear every 24 hours. And if you miss that bus, you had to wait. So you would imagine what would be the situation. I am still sure still in some parts of this country today, we have some rare remoteness whereby unless you take the health services of mothers or expecting mothers to the grassroots, then there's a problem. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, devolution is very important, and that's why this law is very important. Mr. Speaker, the other aspect of this law is a devolved law. This law is not a national law. And therefore, whatever it has been mentioned that the presence of national government, I believe during the third reading should be deleted, led by the mover herself, and the devolved function fully on this function, so that every other county in Kenya has a hospital like the one we have in Makueni Wote, if it is duplicated everywhere, and even in some of the sub-county hospitals and even dispensaries would have some facility which will assist expecting mothers in case of emergency, Mr. Speaker. Again, most people who bring many children to the world, Mr. Speaker, are young women, and therefore they need that information. There is a new system of community health workers. I think it's very important, and this law should feature them prominently so that it even goes to their financing and their preparation to make sure in every village there is a community health worker, also a midwife, who is very experienced and has the basics and even equipment now to detect things like pressure and can be able to advise in case a woman goes into labor, and that there are mechanisms to ensure safe delivery of that particular woman. Mr. Speaker, also, it's a component of when you move from the village, a component of other factors which children go with. You know, Mr. Speaker, this morning as I was coming to the Senate, I saw a child lying in the streets of Nairobi, you know, very dirty and looking miserable, and this child should be in school. So what are the counties doing to ensure that there are no street children, and that there are better facilities, and that even if they didn't meet their mother, or they are in abusive homes, or they are in unsafe homes, then what do you do to make sure that particular child goes to school now that schools have been opened? Why do we have children in the streets of Nairobi, or in the street of any county capital in Kenya, or in any village, or in any market? Children should either be in a children's home, or in a proper home, or somewhere they can get their care at that very tender age, Mr. Speaker. Because that's a person who then, if they're in the streets, they will eventually need medical attention. They are likely to abuse drugs. They are likely to sniff glue. And they are likely not to have a chance in life, Mr. Speaker. So that's another component which should also come into play. And there is no sufficient law to ensure that children of that nature are taken care of, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what happens a lot of times in case of emergency delivery and when their services are not available, that's when a lot of mothers lose their life, and the child is also likely to lose their life. And that's the most critical component, I think, should be covered by right of health services and services for new pregnant women to make sure the antenatal and postnatal care is properly done. But, Mr. Speaker, this goes to a lot of information to the young people, which could be part of the curriculum system, and also, Mr. Speaker, which could be relayed by the community health workers so that young expectant women are taken care of very well during that particular time. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, although the national government has been given some role, I think we should delete the cabinet secretary in charge of health. That role should be devolved, and these monies should be devolved and make sure that all services are held at county level. Because even if you have Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi, there are very many other county hospitals like Pumwani Maternity Hospital, Mr. Speaker. So that Pumwani Maternity Hospital concept should be duplicated without really any role. The only role of national government is to make sure that during division of revenue bill, there is sufficient money allocated to health, and all the money devolved completely from national government to the county governments, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, part 3 of this bill is likely to suffer that mischief, Mr. Speaker. And then when you go to monitoring and evaluation, Mr. Speaker, that again should still happen in the counties. And there are general provisions and regulations likely to come under this law, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I believe this law, we should pass it. And I believe the National Assembly will not waste a lot of time. We'll go on to pass this law for the benefit of the children of this country, Mr. Speaker. If a country has no children, then it has no future population, Mr. Speaker. If out of misinformation or lack of sufficient knowledge, a young expecting lady infects a child with a life-threatening disease, then it means that child is not going to live well, to live long on earth. Those born with conditions, some natural, some genetic, there should be a way of addressing that to see whether some of the corrective surgeries can be conducted in good time before that, so that the health of that child can be stabilized. And that can happen only when there is close supervision and there is medical services availability at all levels. And as a nation, we should really focus on making sure that from conception to newborns to childhood, that there are less deaths and the children are protected for the benefit of the future and they enjoy all benefits accruing. That should really be work of the county to make sure all children have equal opportunity of health, equal opportunity of education, equal opportunity of proper diet, Mr. Speaker, because also poor diet goes a long way. And I believe the Honorable Dr. Boni Halwala, who is a very experienced doctor, will be very instrumental in shaping this law at third reading, and he could advise us and lead us to make sure we have the best law to protect our children, and the future of our nation, and the future of the world. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Karen Nyamujeri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this bill by Senator Beatrice Ogola for its significance in providing comprehensive health care, maternal and neonatal health care to mothers in the country, and particularly in the midst of the uncertainty surrounding the Linda Mama program that previously provided for free antenatal, free prenatal, and neonatal health care services. Mr. Speaker, if this bill is passed, it could see the enhancement and the streamlining of maternal health services in our health facilities, which could greatly reduce the mortality of mother and child. Despite, as a country, having made big strides in reducing the mortality generally of everyone in the country, we still have maternal and neonatal mortality still unacceptably high, Mr. Speaker. A report by the Auditor General still indicates that we have a significant number of women losing their lives due to pregnancy complications and due to child delivery complications, Mr. Speaker. And so this bill is very welcome to curb this very delicate area. Mr. Speaker, we also would want to see the health sector adopting and introducing innovative policy that will help a widespread adoption of new technologies in this very sensitive healthcare area, adopting technologies that are already being used in the world to reduce the mortality and also make childbearing a very comfortable experience for mothers, Mr. Speaker. We also allowed Senator Beatrice, because there's a report by the Auditor General that indicated that 60% of our health facilities that were examined still lack basic facilities for maternity health services, Mr. Speaker. And this should be dealt with urgently to curb these deaths, Mr. Speaker. And finally, Mr. Speaker, this bill could see the health services of mother and child significantly improved, because it deals with this issue holistically, and it is a timely replacement of the Linda Mama program that I referred to there before. And with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Having no other senator interested to contribute to this bill, then I call upon the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to beg to reply. And Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to sincerely thank the Speaker of the Senate for giving me the opportunity to move this bill, to thank the clerk as the head of the Secretariat for the guidance and the facilitation of the preparation and the presentation of this bill as it is. Honorable Speaker, I sincerely also want to thank my colleague senators. Thank the seconder of the bill, that was none other than Senator Crystal Asige, that was outstandingly very supportive of this bill. Senator Mungatana, Senator Gloria Ruoba, Senator Olekina, the minority whip, Senator Tabitha Karanja, the deputy majority leader, my own senator, Senator Moses Kajwang, Senator of Nandi, Senator Wakili Sheragai, Senator Mwaruma, Senator Commissioner Joyce Korir, Senator Ameda Kibwana, the chairperson of the Women Senators, Senator Tabitha Mutinda, the vice chairperson, Senator, Senior Senator, Senator Professor Margaret Kamar, for her passion, with all the support she's given me behind, even the preparation of the bill. Senator Enoch Wambua, the deputy minority leader. Of course, Senator Boni Halwale, the majority whip, and the person I keep on looking to for the background knowledge in this bill because of his outstanding background in this profession and his foresight, as demonstrated even by his presentation today. Senator Omtata, the Senator of Busia, Senator Dan Manzo for his passion, Senator Karen Nyamu for the precise presentation she has made today. Honorable Speaker, as my colleague senators and all the other senators who have not had time to make their presentation, but they continue to give me their input. They continue to add their voice to this bill, and as I reply, I will still be looking forward to their input that will enhance this bill. Honorable Speaker, the background of this bill has been shouted on this floor by the many senators who have continued to give the data that we have in this country. Really, Honorable Speaker, mothers need not to die as while they are securing the continuity of our future generations. And in the course of this journey of continuity, we as a country must ensure that we are purposeful and we have the intention, and that we must intentionally really work against preventable deaths of our mothers. Honorable Speaker, as I began moving this bill, I quoted a declaration by a renowned lady called Dr. Anne Beatrice Kihara. This is a declaration that was made at the Paris Convention in France on October the 12th in 2023. And it is a declaration that summarizes really the purpose and the main driving force behind this bill. For the benefit of people who are not there, Dr. Kihara is the first black president, ever black president, from sub-Saharan Africa of the International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics. And she made a very outstanding declaration that universally, the measure of a country's state of health is predicted by its maternal mortality ratio. So, Honorable Speaker, as we give the gloomy picture that we must face in this country, what this bill addresses is that we must be intentional about reducing some of these preventable deaths. And Honorable Speaker, if you go by the bill and what the bill spells out, a number of those deaths, even as they were quoted from the records, from the figures, from the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker, most of those deaths can be prevented if we give a comprehensive service to maternal, newborn, and child health bill. The question I asked as I started moving this bill is that why are our mothers dying if we have invested so much in bringing them to dispensaries? If we have brought most of the mothers to the health centers and to the hospitals, why then are our mothers still dying? And Honorable Speaker, other than the pregnant women, and I've stated in the bill and spelled out categories of services that we must provide as a country to mothers as they get pregnant, when they are pregnant, when they give birth. And I'm happy that most of the senators have enhanced this bill. I can say categorically that the issue of nutrition of children have come out, because as a country, we must raise up quality children that will grow in a more sustainable and a useful way. Issues of insurance of mothers and children have been brought out by my colleagues. What Linda Mama, and Linda Mama was the best thing that happened in this country. But Honorable Speaker, Linda Mama only cared for these mothers as they gave birth and at the birth, the children at birth. But what do we do with the children as they leave hospital? Honorable Speaker. And that is why I intentionally specified children, the care of children, to be from birth to 12 years. Are we able to provide even an insurance for mothers and children as a package? I remember Senator Sige raising a very pregnant point that as mentally challenged children give birth, do we even care what is going to happen to their children when they leave the hospital or when they leave the birth attendants and as they go wherever they are going to, Honorable Speaker? And taking into consideration that children are a property of the state, I want to insist that we must be intentional about reducing preventable maternal deaths. A number of my colleagues have brought critical issues. If I reflect on some of them, I remember the issue of mothers giving birth in dignity. Honorable Speaker, we all know what happens in most of our hospitals and in maternal wards. If you go to a number of public hospitals and you go to the maternity ward, you find at some point 2 mothers having given birth to children even spending on a lean bed. I don't know what the professional senior Bonnie Elwale would talk about that, because to me that is not dignity. I have been pregnant for 9 months. I know what it means as you walk the journey towards giving birth. And once you give birth, there's the woman. And there are a number of people, Honorable Speaker, who think that giving birth, of course, is a natural process. But as natural as it is, Honorable Speaker, it has medical implications. And that is why sometimes you see women walking out of hospital, and some of them, of course, with happiness, but there are a number who are depressed. You remember Senator Bonnie, at his presentation, mentioned about the girls who give birth and shout, they do not want the children. It means there's a problem. But look at those ones that at some point, because of poor planning of our facilities, the country must be able to plan for their projections. For the women as they get pregnant, we must have a working system that knows there should be this number of beds for these women. There should be this number of services for these women. But when women give birth, some are still not well, but you have a child next to you, and you have another mother lying on your other side with their child. Honorable Speaker, that is not the dignity I'm speaking about here. It also spells in this bill that women must have access to certain information as they are pregnant. They must be prepared. And preparations calls for even very basic activities like breastfeeding. Honorable Speaker, I remember when I gave birth to my first child. I did not even know how to hold the baby, how to wash the baby, how to feed the baby. At one point, I ended up feeding the baby from one side of my breast, and the other side was getting into problems. Don't you think, Honorable Speaker, I needed to have been prepared for that kind of occurrence? And that is what we are talking about. But now look at me, that was in those years. I was an adult. What about the young adolescents that are giving birth? You often see, as you walk around, young girls with children. They have a right to those children because they are pregnant. Anyway, but the state must go ahead to really take care of these children. So, Honorable Speaker, I have benefited immensely from the debate that has been on the floor over this bill for over maybe 3 days. I remember Senator Sige, and without, even if I don't mention particular input that were given, there are some outstanding ones. Senator emphasized on certain services to the disabled. I know because basically that is the category of people that she represents. But I want to say that in this bill, I also talked about women with special needs and specified that category to mean those are individuals with additional health needs. And Honorable Speaker, they can be as varied and are not limited to only women with disability. Honorable Speaker, there are women who have mental issues. I referred to them, I gave an example here on the floor of the House of what, in quotes, a number of us call mad women, even as they walk in urban centers or wherever. And we meet them. But because they are women, human, they get pregnant. The government has a duty. And specifically, I've seen the input by very senior senators here about giving an outstanding role of these functions that I've spelled out to the county governments, because this function of health is a devolved function. Not to say that the national government equally has a role to play. And I like what Senator Boni said, that it specifies, let us not just leave it open, that there shall be a national and a county government. This bill goes ahead to specify specific functions so that people are able to take political responsibility. I want to share with my colleagues that I will be looking into a lot of this input. I will be consulting them where necessary, and all they have brought in their debates will be taken care of. Honorable Speaker, I will be very glad that finally, if this bill is passed, there will be an emphasis on the care that we give to mothers, on the care that we give to newborns, and on the care that we give to children. I was here, Honorable Speaker, telling people that in some communities, people even grade the worth of a man by the care you give to women around you and children. And so, Honorable Speaker, I thank my colleagues, and I want to assure them that I will take in their input. And so, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply. And Honorable Speaker, I request that the putting of question be deferred to a later date, pursuant to Standing Order 66-3. Honorable Speaker, I reply.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Senator Beatrice Ogora. Okay, I rearrange again the business of the House this evening.